UGA, game day, boy, we ball out. Pull up, put the whole conference in the doghouse. Leave them 6 feet, see me on the win streak. All-star status, go coach, and the bench deep. Offense on 10, how we run it? Your best ain't nothing, we gon' send them boys punting. Black and red, got them dead on arrival. Defense, hunker down for the tie. Hey, you don't want it with the dogs. Film guy on it, you don't want it with my dog. Break it down, play by play, that's the day-to-day. They know we ain't come to play, boy, it's UGA. Kirby smart, I cannot play the fool. Back to back, we did not come to lose. Back to back, like we got something to prove. Pay your dues, dog nation on the move. What's up?
We doing a little bit different around here.
We ain't come to play, we ain't come to play. Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape.
We ain't come to play, we ain't come to play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't come to play, we ain't come to play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Shut up. Let's grind.
We ain't come to play, we ain't come to play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The
Shut
tape.
up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
Shut up. The tape. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
We are live on a Tuesday on the Film Guy Network here. It is the second time in the last 4 shows I've been graced with the privilege of doing the intro. However, it's not because Brooks is not going to be in studio tonight. He's running a little late just from all the media pressers that were going on for Georgia. So whenever he feels fit, he will be joining us shortly. He's now replacing his coffee mugs, and we'll be re-entering the studio as soon as possible. Jay, well, how are you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. You know, days like this are when it truly feels like college football season is here. When Brooks is rolling up to the studio with about 3 minutes until we go live, going to press conferences. I mean, fresh off the presser is what we like to call it around here. So, I mean, this is college football season to me. This is what gets me back into that feeling that makes me so excited.
Zachary?
What's up?
I saw you move the mic there. I didn't know if you were ready or not.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good. Fresh off the truck. I didn't have time to highlight my notes. So, yeah, you guys continue, man. It literally has right here in my notes, don't have an open. I'm wondering at this rate if I'm even going to be able to get home in time.
This was something you wrote in the truck?
We were not. Yeah, we were not home in time. So,
using the voice assist,
let me collect my thoughts. I got Mateer notes for you here in a minute. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review. It's going to be a loaded show. I'm bullshitting. I got this. Acting like I need to warm up or something. Here we go. We got a great one planned for you guys as always. I watched some John Mateer while I was, in between flights. Had a layover, a 3-hour layover. What else am I going to do? Grind Mateer tape. That's what I'm going to do. So I got John Mateer notes for you guys tonight. If anyone was wanting them, I got them for you. We're going to buy some transfer stock tonight. Interested to talk that with the boys. What does an offer actually mean nowadays? You know what I mean? What does it even mean? So we're going to talk about that. Being the director of recruiting and whatnot, might have a little intel for you on that one. I don't know if y'all saw this. I put this in the notes late. I think the AAC, what does the AAC stand for? American Athletic Conference?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
The American Athletic Conference just made it like you have to give $10 million to athletes. I don't know if y'all saw this. It's a major, mid-major, like level up move. They've kind of separated themselves from the other mid-major schools based off NIL compensation and what's coming down with the rev share. All that good stuff and much, much more. Seems like you guys enjoyed those notes from the football pilgrimage yesterday. If you haven't watched that, you need to go watch that. It's good stuff there. A lot of ball knowledge being talked there. A lot of life knowledge being taught there as well. So be paying attention to that. We got a couple more visits coming up pretty soon. Excited for those. Like I said, while I was away, I did watch some John Mateer tape. Do you want the notes? I sent some clips to the boys.
Before you give us John Mateer notes, I want to know.
We got actual news to hit?
No. I just want to know what prompted you, what came over you to be like, I need to watch a John Mateer film.
You know, maybe I was at a place that he played against or might be playing against, or maybe they were watching him that day. I was like, man, you know what? Mateer kind of spicy. I got a nickname for Mateer.
Ooh.
From the ear Mateer. My boy right here, everywhere he goes. Every ball he's ever thrown in his life on tape, right here, from a straight 90. Now, I am a rotational guy. I think I've kind of not invented this term, but I definitely brought this term to you two. I definitely brought this term to most of the people that watch this network. The idea of being a linear thrower, like looking like we throw in a phone booth, versus being a rotational thrower, a guy who uses our spine, uses our lower half, creates a ton of ground force through being a rotational thrower. But this guy takes it to the extremes. Okay, he is as low of an arm slot as I think I've ever seen, and does very, very interesting things with it. As well. He's got some Jackson Dart to his game, boys. Got some Jackson Dart to his game.
Jackson Dart might be a first-round pick at this rate.
I mean, that's crazy. It's really, really elevating. I saw a tweet today. Funny how Jackson Dart's draft stock has skyrocketed since he quit playing football. Is that guy trying to take a shot at Jackson Dart? That guy not grinding enough Jackson Dart tape. But the reason I think it's got some Jackson Dart to him, sneaky thick. And this one ain't even sneaky. This one's obvious. This is an obviously thick individual. He is 6'1", about 225 on the roster. I seen some spring propaganda. I seen some algorithm coming around on Mateer. If Mateer ain't 232 right now, I ain't got the trick that I think I got. You know what I mean? Mateer done put some weight on already, preparing for the SEC. Love the idea that the OC came with them as well. And if you watched Wazoo last year, which you pretended to, I don't know how much you actually did. If you go watch what they did on film last year, ton of empty from this football team. Reason being, Mateer's a toter, all right? Mateer could tote the rock a good bit as well. So he forces you into conflict out of that empty because he is such a good runner. Do you want to play the box light? Do you want to play it 4, 5 guys? 5 is even heavy when we go empty. You know what I mean? Most teams want to play 4 down or want to play 3 down with a spy against teams going empty a ton. So he really forces you into conflict off rip because of what he can do with his legs. And put a ton of empty on tape from this guy. And he's got some shit to him. You know what I mean? And I love that about him. And you don't know what it is unless you watch it, and you can't really define what the shit is to him. But he got, some guys back in the day would call that a chip on his shoulder. I don't think he necessarily has that. I think he walks around like he knows he's good at football, and that's good. And you can see that on tape. I also love this. I love this in the notes, and I think you'll love this too, Jay Will. He's got some Jason Kidd-like tendencies to him. Okay? And here's what I mean. If you ever played with Jason Kidd, which I didn't, bless you. If you ever played with Jason Kidd, the number one thing they say is, hey, don't ever assume you're out of the play. Don't ever assume he can't get the ball to you. Don't ever assume that shit might not hit you in the face, because it's going to, okay, when you least expect it. There is a play I vividly remember on tape. Can't remember who they're playing. Can't remember who they're playing, but he's rolling left, and the receiver gets hit in the nuts because the receiver's like, ain't no way this dude's about to throw this ball. Sure as shit, he will.
He longest yarded him?
Huh?
He longest yarded him?
Kinda. Yeah. Can of corn, Diet Coke, I'll be all right. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Did that, one of those. Okay, the ADD when I show up late is off the walls. It always has been, always will be, and I almost enjoy it. But yeah, he's got some Jason Kidd to him. I didn't watch enough games to know if the freedom with the ball would ultimately lead to turnover rates, high turnover rates. Didn't see a lot of bad decisions, to be honest with you. They can watch one half of one game and a back half of another game. Didn't see a bunch of, hey, man, that's just some dumb shit. Why are we out here doing that for a guy who obviously trusts what he can do with his arm? But he protected the ball pretty well, and the game logs said he did as well, as with how many times they asked him to push the football and how many times they demanded that he be the explosive trait to the offense. I thought he was pretty fun to watch, and I know the clips I sent you guys were pretty gnarly.
Yeah, they were
pretty gnarly shit.
My question is, and I know you didn't go through like the whole.
Welcome in, by the way.
You didn't go through like the whole 13 games of John Mateer film, but the first thing that I kind of noticed is he did complete like 56% of his passes at Washington State, and that was my first indication of maybe take a step back on some John Mateer stock with him coming into the SEC, playing some better competition. Do you think that those incompletions are attributed to him being forced to force the ball down the field, maybe throwing it into some tighter windows, or maybe the guys that are around him?
When you're this far down the slot, okay, the arm slot, right? But think about it as a clock. When you're this far to 3 o'clock, you have a real hard time rolling over, okay, getting the nose back down. So he's really fun intermediate. He's really fun on the run. I guarantee you a lot of that inaccuracy is a lot of those in-breaking routes, a lot of those timing routes, a lot of those things that require consistency in our mechanics to be 100% or to at least be a high efficiently or a high completion percentage guy. We got to have repetitive mechanics. We got to have things that we do every single time we cut the ball loose and then have fun when we need to have fun. But that can't be the basis of our delivery. That's what it seems like with this guy. This guy looks like he's trying to have fun every single down and every single time he cuts it loose. That's part of the reason why I would imagine there's a 56% completion percentage. Also, a couple games I watched, not a lot of easy shit on tape for this guy. You know what I mean? Not a lot of, let's just run a now screen or what Coach Saban calls a smoke screen. Let's just run that. No. Guy driving the ball down the field a good bit.
This would probably be a breath of fresh air then for Oklahoma fans of having someone fun at the position, because you really haven't had this since Lincoln Riley was your head coach, of having someone that was just at the very least, even if the end result didn't go your way, you were going to at least enjoy watching your quarterback play football. The past couple of years, it has not been that.
The last note says right here, I think he's going to be really fun, no doubt. It's going to be fun to watch. And now, probably come on, man.
Yeah.
You know, like, damn, if he could just be a little more consistent, we'd be good. I think all the questions at Oklahoma for me are everywhere else, okay? Especially on offense. Defensively, I think that guy's going to have a top 5 SEC defense as long as he's there, okay? That's what I think about Venables as a defensive coordinator, and I'll stand on that until the tape tells me otherwise. But I think he's really good defensively. The Jimmies and the Joes, he does so much X's and O's wise, it's kind of up and down anyways. I mean, other than the defensive lineman, how many first-round picks came out of Clemson defensively during his time there anyways? The Simmons kid didn't really work out in the league either. The D-back.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to count like Terrell.
I don't think he was there. No, he was there. AJ Terrell was there. Either way, sidetrack there. For me, all the questions are offensively, offensive line, wide receivers. Offensive line, wide receivers. What have you done at those departments? They brought in an offensive tackle transfer, I believe, from, I got it written down here, Western Carolina, a guy that started 2 years there. But other than that, it's year 2 of guys they brought in last year or guys that they've been trying to develop. So it's really the same core. We're just hoping for a leap. So you have to hope for a leap from the offensive line department. Obviously, they lost a big transfer out of the wide receiver department. Jaden Gibson is a guy that I liked a lot out of high school, okay? This is a kid we saw at the Elite 11. I don't know why I'm pointing at you. You weren't there. But a big high point guy. Kind of replaced the kid that transferred to LSU. Name? Give me a name. War number 4 for them.
Nick Anderson.
No, Nick Anderson. Okay, kind of body type wise replaces that guy, but obviously it doesn't have the production that Nick Anderson had day 1 as a true freshman. So we'll see. The other transfer that they brought in from Arkansas, Pine Bluff, we'll see.
Indeed,
you know what I mean?
So obviously he's got traits. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Coming from Wazoo to the SEC is a big difference. Do you think it's going to translate well, or do you think this is something where it's like it's going to be fun, but it's also going to be a train wreck?
You have a tremendous advantage when you bring your OC. When the terminology, the communication, the relationship is translated, and we get to bring it, that's a way easier transition than it would be if I'm learning an entirely new terminology. If I'm learning because he's going to walk in, Kirby, and he's going to be able to now be a leader on his team already, the team he just showed up to, because who do you think those wide receivers are going to be looking to say, hey, shit, what am I doing on this play? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That whole everybody looking to me is already inherited because the offense is inherited. So I think that's a tremendous step that he has. But yeah, I mean, obviously this is a tremendous talent gap from what he was playing in a Pac-2 schedule, which is basically a Mountain West schedule. And I believe Washington kept them on the schedule as a rivalry. But other than that, you're basically playing the Boise States of the world now coming to the SEC.
The biggest question for me, him transitioning to Oklahoma, is this is a guy that carried the football 178 times for over 800 yards for Washington State last year. And that was a huge part of his game. And one of the reasons that I became attracted with his game is when I was just kind of peeping the box scores of him. It was like, this dude's throwing for 200 yards and also rushing for over 100 yards. Like, what is this guy on? So I am interested to see if that continues to be like an important piece of his game, or if that's kind of something they dial back a little bit.
I would imagine they have to run him just to balance box counts, man. They're not going to be. I don't think they're good enough offensive line wise. To just be a back-heavy run game. They're going to have to balance counts.
It feels to me like they're kind of bringing him in to do what Jackson Arnold really succeeded with towards the end of that year. If you remember that Alabama game, they didn't torch Alabama because of what they did on offense. Jackson Arnold ran the ball really, really effectively, which ultimately led to them winning. And obviously they choked them out on defense. But I think that's going to kind of be what the John Mateer experience is with Oklahoma, where he's going to utilize his legs enough to supplement the offense, but I don't think it's going to be anything super special, super outlandish.
The only difference this year, Kirby, and you know this, is that they very much so caught Oklahoma or Alabama off guard with using Jackson Arnold's legs. I mean, when I think he had like 7 traditional run carries going to that football game, and he had 15 in the first half. It's like a total different game plan. And now going into this one, I guarantee you everyone's going to be preparing for Mateer's legs when they go to play him. That's why it wasn't just the physical comp for me for Jackson Dart. The over the first 2 or 3 years, especially when Junkins got hurt, they just relied on him to be the run game. Like, it was just it. We're just going to QB run, QB power, QB counter. We're just going to do everything with the quarterback with some jet motion up off of it. They probably do a very similar thing this year, I would imagine, with Mateer out there at Oklahoma. Continuing the transfer discussion, and I hope you guys hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff here on the channel. Keep supporting the growth here. I know it's off season, but it ain't around here. We're going to continue to pump out the content. Make sure you're hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new in town. Speaking of new in town, some transfers that are new in town. I got 3 names now. Here's what I am nervous about when we're not together for the 2 hours before the show that we normally are. Some notes overlapping. So let's have fun with this. If we have a same note, let's just have fun with it. Let's try to, add on top of the analysis other than just go, hey, I had the same name. Here we go. 3 names I'm looking forward to seeing. Numero uno. Probably the most expensive player in the portal this year, Isaiah World, 6'8" offensive tackle from Nevada. Now, here's my question for Mr. World and everyone that recruits West Coast, including the University of Georgia. How does a 6'8" offensive lineman that played at Lincoln High School in San Diego, California, end up at Nevada? His damn running back was Roger Robinson. All you jamokes were recruiting the guy. What? How did we miss the 6'8" dude standing on the damn field? The whole field was tilted. How did he have to spend 3 years at Nevada being all conference? Y'all don't miss these dudes. If you're 6'8" and can chew gum, you get SEC offers in Gwinnett County. What the hell is this? Sorry, but yeah. Gonna be a baller. Numero uno on my board. Buying stock.
And I did think this was interesting too, because we kind of got into this conversation of teams that recruit offensive linemen in the transfer portal and teams that really don't do this. Oregon was kind of one of these teams. They took multiple offensive linemen in this transfer portal class, with Isaiah World being one of them. So a super intriguing prospect for sure.
What the...
Yeah, the traits alone make you think that that's someone that at least a major Power 4 team would have taken a stab.
Bro, it walked in day one. Nevada's like, I'm going to start until I get hurt. And then gets hurt. And then it's like, I'm going to be all conference till somebody pays me to leave this joint.
The only thing I could consider is academic eligibility.
But he would have had to go JUCO.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless Nevada's like Ole Miss, where it's like, you got a pulse? We'll take you.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case.
I don't know either. I don't know what the Nevada academic rigor is there, but it's interesting that he made it that far. Luckily for us, he was not on either one of our notes. So who do you have for the other 2? I don't know what you're looking at.
1 for 1 so far.
All right. Listen, I'm looking at how my man ended up at Nevada. I'm looking at him out of Lincoln High School, 3-star, 6'8", 270. In an offense where they was toting the pill. That's 2021. So Rod Robinson would have been what, 2022? 2023?
2023.
So he was getting sophomore totes though and looks. I don't know how in the hell that kid ended up in Nevada. Number 2, Nick Anderson at LSU. Was an absolute dude at Oklahoma. I think he pulled a selective medical last year. That what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
And early on in the year, it was like Nick Anderson's got an ankle thing going on.
He's got an ankle. We hope we get him back soon.
Yeah, he got an ankle. Hope we get him back soon.
And this was
never got him back soon.
This was like Tennessee game. And just
it's like week 3.
Kept waiting of maybe they're going to get Nick Anderson back this week.
He been running around campus. He been working out in the indoor. Maybe we'll get him back. Coach, you ain't getting him back.
Nope.
He's already got a bag. He's probably going to LSU or some place like that might have talked to him. So he's at LSU now. And here's the good thing about this, okay? When Nuss isn't trying to be a superhero, pretty damn accurate with the football. All right? And at least I believe has enough arm talent and arm accuracy to like put the ball where he wants to, especially downfield, and locate the football. And this is a big body target, 6'5", 197 pounds, and is really, really good with the ball in the air. Yeah. So I like what Nick Anderson, I think, is going to do at LSU this year. And the other one, another big-bodied guy. I don't know how this one slipped through the cracks. I don't know how this guy wasn't on like everybody's board. Have you heard of the name Malachi Fields?
I've heard it, but I don't know why.
Yeah, because you're probably not watching a lot of Cavaliers football. Not watching a lot of Virginia football. But Malachi Fields is 6'5". He went for 800 yards 2 years in a row in the ACC. 800 plus. Several touchdowns as well. He could be at Notre Dame this year.
Ooh. Okay?
And a football program that needed a dude at that position. I know they had a guy that I think transferred out from Texas last year. I want to say not Deion Colsey. Who was number 5 for them last year in the playoffs?
No clue.
Either way, Kane. Either way, had a transfer not necessarily blossom for them last year. I think this might be a guy that can. He's already got actual proof he can do it in basically their conference.
Yeah,
I mean they play 5 or 6 ACC games.
That's a good pull right there.
Those are my 3.
I did have Nick Anderson on my list, more specifically because I just feel like he's being placed into a role at LSU where they're going to have to give him the ball. And this is a guy that honestly hasn't played too much football, which might be a bit of a concern because you might say like, oh, well, he's been injured, but I don't think he's been that injured. I think it's more so been, like you mentioned, selective.
Bo Collins.
Bo Collins.
Bo EAUX.
Of course it is.
He's an LSU fan.
So I think that this guy is built for an entire season of LSU just having to give him the rock a lot. So I think it's good for both his stock and what LSU is looking for and needing this year, because something that we have really harped on this offseason about LSU is the standard they typically have at wide receiver isn't exactly what they have on the roster right now, but they went ahead and added a guy like Nick Anderson who has SEC experience and again is being plugged into a role where they are going to have to use him. So I like him. Another wide receiver for me in the SEC, or that came to the SEC, Casey Concepcion from NC State.
That is KC, not CASEY, by the way.
No, yeah, KC. So he was like the only star player on NC State's football team last year, especially when you have Grayson McCall, which I'm sorry that your football career had to end so shortly, Mr. Grayson, but let's be real about where it was headed anyways. He was still putting up numbers in an offense that was very up and down. So glad that he's going to a roster that has some stability at the quarterback position in Marcel Reed, and they're getting an offensive weapon, again, kind of like LSU, that they need somebody. They need kind of like this X-Factor guy. He was certainly an X-Factor on an ACC team in NC State last year. I think he can be that for the Texas A&M Aggies this year.
I mean, the man's football career's grave ain't even like.
I gave my condolences.
He said sorry, but we knew where this was headed, man.
We keep it real.
Damn.
I gave my condolences.
If we're being fair.
I mean, that dirt ain't even packed yet.
If we're being fair.
I gave my condolences.
We're being fair, though. You were digging the grave for him last year. This time last year,
his play was digging his own.
You might as well have gave him the concussion last year. And then my final one, Travis Shaw. Played at North Carolina the last couple of years. This is a former 5-star, and I know you're grimacing a little bit, and I am too, because he didn't have a whole lot of production.
No. I'll tell you later. No, we don't. Bro, he got in some trouble. Like some trouble. Okay, now, not domestic violence related. I know that's everyone's sensitive area, but very, very similar to the massive news story that happened in this area in Athens. Cars related. A person's life cost. Yeah. Same thing with Travis Shaw. Nobody really talked about it nationally, but it happened. Okay, but go ahead. Good football player. George recruited him out of high school. Massive nose tackle. He's a good athlete. Sorry. I mean to do that, but everyone does it this way. Everyone does it this way. You see how lightly I'm treading on it right now because it ain't my business. But yeah, there was... Just Google it.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned it because I had no idea.
And most people listening to this don't.
Yeah.
They have no idea. that something very similar to the Georgia incident happened at North Carolina with football players involved. Nobody said a word.
So I guess I'll just go about what my previous mindset on this was. I was more so seeing a guy that was highly recruited out of high school, ultimately ends up at UNC, was on a really bad defense last year, and he's going to a place in Texas that really needs help on the defensive line because they lost quite a few bodies on the defense. So they're going to need somebody to step in and fill that void. I felt like he was going to be able to do that at Texas. Maybe it works out that way.
It's one of those Brooks Reed, so you don't have to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I do be reading a lot more than I think sometimes.
Well, now that you've said it, like I am called back to what happened.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Good call.
All right, my first. I went about this a little differently. I did players that I'm legitimately thinking that stocks will be low right now, or kind of forgotten.
You deep diving. You value.
Now, this first one isn't as much of a deep dive as it is, but I feel like Zachariah Branch was an absolute game changer, playmaker his time at USC. Things kind of didn't go well for him in the 2024 season. A lot of that has to do with the quarterback play at USC, had the season in general. I feel like he can be exactly what Georgia needs in that a dangerous slot weapon, can make things happen, might even make some special teams plays happen there. I know that's kind of the homer take for me to make, but I'm really buying Zachariah Branch stock for Georgia. Next one I have, and this is a deep dive. Player who, what's up?
No, the Miko article, whoever wrote that shit is banging.
You're welcome.
Boy. Yeah, we're talking business. Go ahead.
Good job, Joe. This is a deep dive, and I'm not buying this stock because I think they're going to light the world on fire and make anything special happen. But I do think they're going to be a name that kind of floats around the SEC this year. It's like, hey, solid quarterback. I'm going Luke Kromenhoek. Mm-hmm. Went from stink to stank at Florida State to Mississippi State, but I think he showed a lot of potential in the few games he started there. There was a reason why a lot of Florida State fans hitched their hope wagon to that. He could make a difference for Mississippi State and a team that really has nothing to lose at this point.
Who was buddy that got hurt early on for them? He was at SEC meet Blake Chafin.
Yeah.
That's their guy coming back. So we'll see if Luke Kromenhoek, I mean, he's probably going to be sitting, but
I'm buying the stock.
You're buying the stock either way. I just wanted to correct to make sure if any Mississippi State Bulldog fans are listening, they're like, this idiot doesn't even know who our starter is. He might not be your starter, by the time Luke Kromenhoek get handed that job.
Get it.
And also, I was looking at some other stuff. Why you talked about Zachariah Branch, the reason his role diminished is because they were very obviously force-feeding Deuce Robinson last year. I don't know if anybody noticed that. He ended up leaving anyways, but they were very clearly trying to get the Deuce Robinson track up off train up on the tracks, and it just didn't work.
It also helped that Woody Marks had a really good season.
Facts.
Too.
Yeah.
Something I don't think USC's really been accustomed to is a really good running back game.
Yeah.
So,
and maybe getting into the Big Ten, trying to be more of a physical football team. Spend a lot of money on defense, trying to protect that defense as well. So yeah, all included. You had another one?
I have my third one. My third one is a little bit in line with what you guys went with. It's an LSU receiver who's transferring. I went Berrien Brown buying stock.
Yeah, well, LSU stock.
I think a lot of people went really out on him because of this supposed drops. There were a lot of drops along the board for wide receivers in the SEC last year. So I'm uh-oh.
Oh no.
He's about to crash out.
Berrien Brown?
Yeah, I'm going.
You think I didn't come prepared? That's classic.
Well, never mind.
That's classic. Berrien Brown, good stock.
Berrien Brown's going to have a speedster. I think LSU has the makings of an offense that's going to be reminiscent of what made them so dangerous back in the early 20s. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to be that exactly, but Berrien Brown could very much be this. And there was a weird period of time when he first entered the transfer portal that was like, this is the hottest name in the receiving corps, and then his stock got diminished because, the drops.
His teammate entered the portal.
And look, I think he spent 3 years at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The
last 3 years I've studied Kentucky, heavy play action, 12 personnel football team, more predicated for X's and Z's than it is for slot weapons. He's going to be in a lot more 3-by-1 sets. I mean, you could probably count on two hands how many times he was in trips at Kentucky. I mean, I know I'm really, really talking a nerdy level of football here for people listening to us right now, but if you're a 5'10", 165-pound jetter, 12 personnel offenses aren't for you, Bubba. No. That's not what you're going to be great in. What you're going to be great in is teams who give you more space to get open and get loose and run with the ball after the catch. It's a better offense for him.
And not just that, the quarterback situation last year in Kentucky was
putrid.
Was not great.
As it could be in the SEC.
Unfortunate, but it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
So those are my three that I'm buying stock in.
I like those. Those are not 8 good names right there to be paying attention to on the transfer portal, market, if you will. It's kind of a bum cycle.
Yeah, I mean, I went through like the top 150 names.
Cycle.
Not a lot of names where it's like, ooh.
No Dane Key love on the stage tonight, huh?
I have talked way too much.
Everybody already gave too much love for Dane Key anyways.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said, though, when has it ever been a year where it's like, this was the transfer portal year where everything popped off, everything was crazy? I feel like we're going on year 5 or 6 now.
I feel like the year all those A&M guys hit the portal, there was dudes to be had. Last fall, December, there was dudes to be had.
And that's because a major coach got fired from a school.
Alabama got dumped too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know it was a little bit later, but they had an opportunity to get to the window.
I guess that's fair. I guess just because there was such little firing, just the transfer portal wasn't that great. But
yeah,
it's never felt like the transfer portal itself has supplemented a lot of great talent. It's always been the coach got fired, so these guys are entering the portal. That's kind of what gets the portal going.
Yeah, I feel like the year that Keon Coleman was in, I mean, he's just a dude.
Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't a first round player in the portal this year, I didn't think.
No.
Whereas
not at least
year,
one word you came into it saying that's a first round player.
Correct. Last year, like a Walter Nolan. Walter Nolan hit the portal last year. Everybody's like, that's a first round pick. And he is going to end up being one, I believe. Is he going to be defensive tackle number 2 off the board, probably?
Most likely.
Behind Mason Graham out there at Michigan. So, yeah. What does an offer mean? How about this? I got my own thoughts. Give me the synopsis of why this got onto the show notes tonight, because I obviously have what detailed information I have about this, and if any players are listening tonight, it's a good topic to be listening to.
All right, so this is kind of dealing with the common misconception of what an offer means in college football. Adam Brenneman did a really good job on his Instagram post talking about this. I don't know what podcast it was or if it was just his media, but he basically outlines that when you receive an offer from a college football team, it's not necessarily signed, stamped, you have a spot on that roster. Offers are more, we're casting a wide net in hopes that we land a couple of things. He kind of outlined this in his time. He was tight ends coach at Arizona State in 21, I believe.
He played at Penn State.
Yeah. Talked about how I was told during my time, this recruiting cycle, you get 2 scholarships for your tight end room. He went out and offered 12 or 14 guys because half of them aren't going to commit to you. The other half you're going to end up not wanting, to where it gets down to you have 3 or 4 where it's really to choose from. So if you're getting an offer from a program, it's not necessarily like the day you get that offer, you have a reserved spot on a roster.
Yeah. First of all, Adam Brenneman.
Yes.
Tremendous work. I love watching dudes who played at a high level that get to walk in and get jobs that I'm never going to get. First of all, I despise them. I'm jealous of them. But I respect the hell out of the dudes who are actually grinding their ass off, like really trying hard at this. He and Jake Butt are the 2 that I recognize as like, first of all, I see you everywhere. You're doing a ton of content. Second of all, I hate you. But anyway, I'm jealous of you. But here's my thought process on this, right? There's 2 offers. There's an offer and there's a committable offer. All right, and here's how you know. Since I've been doing this, the schools that matter, all right, I'm talking about the top 30 annual recruiting programs, they offer about 300 prospects a year is what they do. They can only sign about 28 of you. And some of those 30 programs are only taking like 20 high school guys and 10 transfers every year now. So the numbers have decreased. We'll talk about that more tonight because I did some deep diving into some of these mid-major conferences. High school kids are getting robbed left and right. But anyway, sidetrack, doesn't matter. There were programs like a couple of years, it's settled a little bit since NIL, but there were schools a couple of years ago, like when Pruitt was at Tennessee, he would offer 430 kids a cycle.
Oh, good Lord.
430 kids a cycle. If you had a pulse, he was offering you. I mean, it was crazy. But yeah, he mentioned it. It's a cast a wide net. We got to get the offers out. We got to let these kids know that we are recruiting them, and then we'll dwindle it down to about 25 to 30 kids each class. And there's nothing to say that just because you were offered a scholarship to a player, that means you're holding a roster spot for them, like you mentioned. There's a green lighting process, is what it's called. If you have an offer, that's one thing. If you call coach and say, I want to commit on this offer, you're going to get one of 2 responses. Hell yeah, we'll tweet the Go Dogs. Or let's just hold off on that for a little bit, you know? Let's just wait for a minute. And nowadays, this has become even more complicated because of NIL. Nowadays, there are financial discussions that have to be had before you're even able to get in on one of these classes. So, you know, most of it's gotten cleaned up at a big-time level because of that. But yeah, you know, the biggest thing that he didn't talk about, because he ain't out here, he don't want to expose kids. The fake offers, man. The fake offers.
Yeah.
And don't think we don't know. I mean, shit, you're a 5'9", you know, or 5'11" to 305-pound defensive tackle from South Georgia. I highly doubt the Dogs offered. Okay. And we cover. Like, we cover the team. I can send a text message real quick, say, hey, is this Fugazi? Yeah, never had the kid on camp. You know what I mean? Like, it happens that quickly. But again, we can't come out here and quote tweet and say this is not real. A coach isn't going to quote tweet and say this is not real. But the school that you're trying to get on the bait because Georgia offered you a fake offer, like a Florida or like a Kentucky, guess what they do? They just pick up the phone and call coach and say, hey, coach, did you offer this kid? Trey, did you offer this kid? And Trey's going to be like, no, I've never heard of him. Hangs up the phone. There's another part of this process that happens where there are relationships that have been cultivated, right? There are coaches, that high school kids, there are high school programs that have plethora of athletes that come through every single year that, you know, I've got to go recruit that school every single year. So if coach calls me and says, hey, I need you to do me a favor, coach at, let's call it Kansas, coach at Kansas, I know you're going to be coming back here for players that you actually want to take. I need you to offer this kid now so we can get the ball rolling on his recruitment process. Will you do that for me? Yes, coach, I got you. I'll do you a favor. So some of these 300, 400 offers are just, I'm going to do a favor for a buddy of mine because I know eventually I'm going to need him to do a favor for me. So there's a lot of fake offers going out that aren't committable.
And I think that the video games have kind of skewed what people think on this, where when you're doing recruiting on NCAA 25 you can only offer 35 people. So it's not that you can offer as many people as you want. It comes down to when signing day comes, when you're getting your roster in for the next recruiting cycle, you can only have X amount of players that you get. It's not you can only offer this many.
Here's a question that I have, because I actually got into a conversation about one of these types of prospects with some fellow beat reporters. I had a practice last week of how there was an in-state Georgia prospect that was never talked about really during his 4 years as a high school, even to the point where he has fellow teammates that Georgia's recruiting and like people are going to go see, but not a single time does this kid's name get mentioned, and then all of a sudden ends up at the University of Georgia. Is there a thing too where like kids don't technically get an offer because they don't want other people knowing about them?
Wait, what player is this?
Let me get the name.
Is it a player at Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
That's on the roster that nobody knew
this
about?
past recruiting class. It was the one that
talking about the kid from Hillgrove?
Yeah.
That was a Northern Illinois commit that they got to PWO that is 6'2" and runs 10.4. They robbed Northern Illinois of a good football player is what happened with a, hey, come play with us.
But like the conversation was more so about like, clearly this was like a kid Georgia probably knew about the entire time. But nobody ever even mentioned him until,
You want to know how it works? They have, I'm sure they have like a radar system in the war room that just hey, inbound bombs. So we had a sub 10-7 get ran. Where's he at? Hey, he's over on McEachern's high school track. He just ran 10.78. Got to offer him. Got to pay attention to him. Maybe not offer him. Nobody's found out about him. Yeah, 100%. They keep shit under the wraps for a good minute unless they know for a fact, hey, if we offer this kid right now, he's going to commit. I'm not going to say they did this to Lad McConkey, but they did this to Lad McConkey. They were very aware of who he was in the fall of his senior year and waited until February when the dude was about to go to UTC or Army. So yeah, it happens.
It sounds similar to the Landon Roldan situation of sorts.
That was we're not going to blow this spot up until he's ready to announce that he's about to commit to the G.
Right.
And if you remember, it was offer on campus. We'd been paying attention to him. He had a great summer. Offer 2 weeks later, commitment edit out. Yeah, there's a lot of the kid with the Northern Illinois situation. He was about to sign. It was about to be done. I talked to several coaches, that thought they had him under wraps, like keeping him under the grill. That's not how it works, big dog.
Sorry, boys.
No, the theory of no stone unturned thing it is real at Georgia. At being the director of scouting and having sources in that building, I can tell you right now, there have been 100 different examples of me thinking I found a diamond in the rough and sending it off to Georgia and literally getting basically his bio back of why they haven't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because they see them all, man. They know them all. And it's their job. Like if they're not plugged into the state, they're screwed. So yeah, they know all of the. They know all of the. Hey, you guys want to go to Creature Comforts? Actually, I think the game's going to be at noon.
Huh?
Invite. Do we want to do a game day tailgate thing for G Day? But G Day, I think it's going to be at noon, and I'm not going to ask our audience to get to Athens at 9 a.m. to say hello and watch us do a show that they've already watched us do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I feel
sorry.
I feel like come G Day, we'll also have really expended all the takes, and
we've squeezed the juice.
The takes and content we'll have for that.
We've probably squeezed the juice by the time we get there. So I'll let Creature know that we're probably going to decline that generous offer. We appreciate those folks. Best basketball and football schools. Now, this is what happens when we don't have time to do show notes together, because my notes say right here, AKA the only way we can sneak basketball talk into our show, huh?
Literally, that's the point. Because, March Madness is happening right now.
So y'all do you and take the segment wherever y'all are about to take the segment. I got another take that I've, almost sidetracked after, but I'm gonna let you guys have a show right now. So
it's basically this was an entire segment crafted for you reacting to certain things.
Ooh.
Fox Sports released a list, and it's statistically based, so there's really not a lot of argument. Data based.
Let's hear this.
The 10 most dominant schools in both football and basketball over the past decade. And
can I guess?
Yeah, you can guess.
Give me a North Carolina on the list.
I don't believe North Carolina's on the list. They've been pretty bad at football.
How about Oregon?
Oregon is on the list.
All right, I like the way you do it better because this is terrible right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It's all good. That's what I'm learning for it. The first team on the list, number 10, the Cincinnati Bearcats with a combined win percentage of 70%, 8 combined conference championships, and 1 college football playoff / Final Four.
So Louisville's definitely making this list.
This is too nerdy. We're doing this in a way that we don't have to do it like this. This is stupid. Whoever made
continue
the
list.
with the
I
thought you were talking about the segment.
No, not your
the
segment.
stupid
I'm saying whoever did the list this way is stupid.
Number 9, the Kentucky Wildcats at a 69.3% percentage. 8 conference championships, 2 Final Four. None of that in football. Oklahoma comes in at 8. Wisconsin comes in at 7. San Diego State Aztecs at number 6. A lot of the basketball's doing the heavy lifting.
I was about to say, they didn't cut this off at Power 4.
Yeah, come on. Again.
Here's the first one where I'm like, okay, I'll accept this answer. Michigan at number 5, 68% win percentage, 6 combined conference championships, 4 Final Four appearances, combined national championships, 0. This is an outdated data set. Come on, Fox Sports. Michigan won it going on 2 years ago now. Michigan State's on this list as well. Then we get to the top 3. Understandably, Alabama. Pretty much dominated football the last 10, 15 years. Have had a really good basketball run as well. Number 2, Oregon. You already guessed that. Would you like to guess the number 1 program?
It can't be Auburn.
No. It's pretty... Once I tell you, it'll be pretty easy to recognize. That makes sense.
Again, just go ahead and say it.
It's Ohio State.
How? Their basketball program is cheeks.
Dumb. I'm shocked Georgia didn't make the list, honestly, just off the
Georgia's
football team.
The fact that they win.
Yeah, just the fact
11.
Georgia's been so bad at basketball.
Nobody...
Ohio State ain't been good at hoops since Greg Oden.
Yeah, they're so up and down when it comes to basketball. They're either putrid or they're on the cuff of making the tournament.
This was kind of why I kind of wanted to do this, just a blind reaction to that, because it's very clear that objectively speaking, it's not. But when you statistically combine them together, and it's very clear that certain schools are doing the heavy, Kentucky has not been dominating football. Kentucky's strung together a bunch of solid 8-4, 9-3, maybe a 10-2 season every now and then, but they're not dominating the football world by any stretch of the imagination. So
I had to watch NCAA March Madness selection show for the first time in my career. Shout out to the Hoop Dogs. Shout out to you guys. So I had to cover that. And this is what I came away with. First of all, much better television product for the rankings reveal, in my opinion, than what the football folks do. Most importantly, I thought the TV partner did such a good job of just... like we call it football in the football world, brother-in-law and somebody during practice. Like if you're the rabbit, if you're the guy doing the drill, going nice and slow, making sure the other guy wins. That's what they did to him. Every time they gave him an answer, the coaches on the panel were just like, yeah, that's so smart, man. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. And then they go to the next question. And here's why it worked, okay? And here's why I think football should do this. Because instead of having, hey, coach, it's Boog, and Greg McElroy just say that Ward Manuel's dodging everything and he's a bumbling idiot, and then every fan base taking that notion and just maximizing it anyways. Because here's the deal. There's no win here for these selection committees. None at all. There's always going to be a pissed off fan base. There's always going to be somebody willing to sue the damn NCAA because they're pissed off. I got something for the politicians here in a second as well. But I just feel like, especially with the 12-team playoff, dude, you're going to have so many people pissed off anyways, and there's not a set criteria for the people selecting the committee or selecting the teams anyways, that somebody's going to be mad, and they're going to have what they feel is a reasonable backing and argument for why they are mad. And when you have analysts that just sit up there and they do their job, don't get me wrong, that's what they're supposed to be doing. But you think as a television partner, especially ESPN, you'd be up there being like, you know what? Hey guys, hard decision. There's no right answer. I thought they did a good job. But there's none of that. There's just always, damn, Ward, appreciate you for coming on. As soon as he gets off the Zoom, that guy didn't tell us shit, man. That guy's dodging questions, Reese. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think in his defense of those who are critical of the college football selection, so one, let's be fair, the fan bases you deal with are much more passionate, are much larger.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Duke basketball and North Carolina basketball, some of the most passionate college football basketball fan bases, they don't hold a candle to some of the SEC football fan bases. So that's fair as well. I also think that it's just more hard to get it right when the college football selection show comes around. Yeah. There's so many more nuances. There's so much more, well, they haven't played so-and-so. They've only played games within their conference, but their conference schedule was weak. Like, at least within basketball, there's much more cross-pollination than anything else.
They had the damn UNC athletic director, and it was the most controversial selection. Yeah, getting UNC in there. They had him over there explaining his reasoning, and you know he explains it and then goes, "Oh, but I was out the room." And they didn't say a word. They're like, thank you so much for coming on, man. We appreciate you. I don't necessarily want them to be yes men, but I don't want, hey, coach's Bug sitting there just being like, they're wrong. Well, yeah, they're never going to be right. We know that. There's no win here because they didn't give us a set criteria. So there's always going to be holes. I noticed yesterday, by the way, every time my phone goes off, which is all day long, just got to be hella distracting for the audience members. So if y'all see that, tell me to flip the damn thing over.
Oh, I hadn't noticed it once.
To the politicians, okay? I don't know about you guys. Not a politics show here, but I don't think politicians should be out here using angry fans as political fodder. Because that's what I see constantly. And you're all doing it. I've seen Texas politicians do it. Ohio politicians do it with the damn flag planting bullshit. I've seen Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, and now West Virginia. West Virginia is now suing the NCAA because they don't think they got their fair shake. And they want all the stuff brought up. And I know we all know what you're doing. You're just trying to get votes. So stop. All right, do it the right way. Go get votes the right way, not using pissed off sports fans as political fodder. Rant over. Sorry.
It's a valid take. I did not expect that. But I mean, it's very obvious that is what they're doing, to the point where I think even with the Ohio State flag planting one, it was like a Ohio State lifelong fan that knew that it would get no traction. It was a bill that got shot down immediately.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bill that wasn't even able to be passed because it was passed bill submittal, whatever, however the government works.
Past bill passing
probably know a little bit more about that. You think it's the final year of COVID seniors, huh?
I would like to think so.
I did the thing for you. 20. Let's play a game. 2020. I'm gonna take my COVID. Okay. I'm gonna take my additional year. 2021. Let's say I redshirt. By the way, any of these could happen at any time. Okay. Let's say 2021. I take my redshirt. 2022. Damn. I gotta take my medical. I still got 23 as a freshman. I still got 24, 25. I get to play in 26. So, no, we're not out of it. We're not out of it yet. And I know we got a whole segment on this, but I got a whole segment on this. We're going to be hanging around on this for some time. And I think there's, with the Pavia rule, don't even get me started. We might be into this for a good minute. I think this is one of many decisions that I hate from a long list of NCAA decisions that I could start in 2020. When we did this, when this came down, Mark Emmert was still the commissioner of the NCAA, commissioner, president, whatever you want to call him. I get a notification. I'm on a show with a buddy of mine out west, and I get the notification. I say, hey, I got to get off the show. I got to go cover this. This is a one-man band time, a period of our business, man, where if something happened, there wasn't no, hey, can someone get this? Brooksy's getting it. We got to go. Even when I was working construction. But anyways, so I'm getting off the show, and I'm like, hey, I got to go cover this. But I just want to say this. This is one of the stupidest decisions I've ever seen. All we're doing is passing the buck. All we're doing, and everybody at the time was like, yeah, Mark Emmert, thank you so much for not taking a year of these college football players. What you just did was take a whole bunch of spots from high school football players, and not just that class. We kick it down every single year, and we're still kicking it down the road. We're kicking the can down the road on high school football players that are getting robbed. And here's how it is. I ran the numbers today. I looked at the AAC. Went on 24/7 Sports, looked at their 2025 signing classes. North Texas, 12 high school players. Charlotte, 12 high school players. FAU, 16 high school players. Temple, 13 high school players. Tulane, 16 high school players. UAB, 11 high school players. UTSA, 15 high school players. Okay, credit to the other 7 or 8 member schools that are out here signing full high school classes. All right, credit to you guys. That's one conference. Okay, half of which are building through the portal. And I know this is happening at major conferences too. Okay. If those teams, just those 6, if those are 7, if those 7 schools averaged, let's say 28 players, that's about a full high school class like we had just 5 years ago. All right. If those 7 schools averaged 28 players, we just robbed 100 high school football players of college football opportunities in that one conference with just those 6 teams. 7 teams, 100 gone. Not going to have an opportunity to go play. They're going to have to go walk on. Oh, wait, by the way, we're cutting walk-ons too, guys. What are we doing? Why? What are we doing? If you're not good enough to continue your football career, grab a microphone like the rest of us.
I do think the silver lining of this is that these 6-year, 7-year guys are becoming much, much, much fewer breeds.
They are.
Like, there's not a lot of people that were on rosters in 2012, like, to the point where you have, just absorbent amounts of players that are taking up roster spots now. There's a handful of them here and there, like, damn, they've been here since 2020. Yeah. It's not like they've taken up numerous spots. It's not nearly as bad as it was 2 or 3 years ago when you had a backlog of guys that were fully capable of extending their careers elsewhere, saying, you know what, why not stick around for another year of college football? This NIL thing's pretty cushy, all this, so I think it's getting better, and I think we're almost there.
And by the way, if you think they're actually like really, really checking in on some of these red shirts that are getting submitted, I would be dubious.
I don't think so.
I think some of these guys are getting red shirts for playing 6 games and submitting that they only played 4, and who's going out checking film if you didn't record a tackle, if you're not in the box score at Tittawada Tech out there in D1AA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just, man, and the portal has a good bit to do with this, but the reason all these kids are available is because they got extra years of eligibility, man. We don't have this many guys that just got into football in 2020.
And I think too, I think more people are starting to have this type of thought process around the subject, because anytime a player that you see he's been in college for 6 years, he has an extra year of eligibility, all the jokes get thrown out there of like, brother, it's time to go put in a job application. It's time to go, like the Chad Baker Mazzara kid at Auburn right now, who apparently has another year of eligibility. Why? This is an Auburn basketball team that recruits in the top 10 every single year under Bruce Pearl, and they might miss out on another 4-star now because Chad Baker Mazzara wants to play a 6th year at Auburn or whatever. Like, it's just getting to a ridiculous point. I mean, like, this is what's also crazy. I saw the stat where Auburn's basketball team has a higher average age than the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA. That's kind of where we're at with all of this. If we've got freaking grown men playing college sports still, instead of moving on, buddy, just getting the tap on the butt saying, thank you, see you later.
And I mean, it's a harsh reality. Well, hang them up.
Well, it's also one of these things. I think a lot of people are the sympathy from COVID is gone. It's half a decade ago, and I think that's wow. Saying that out loud is crazy.
Because here's what, and I'm sure they did this in other like time periods where there was major events, but like that was pre-COVID. The fact that that's a saying, that we pre-COVID and post-COVID, almost like that was pre-9/11. That's pre-COVID. That happened before COVID. I say that all the time.
BC.
Yeah. Crazy. BC.
But going back to it, like the sympathy and immediate reaction of that is good. This is a year they deserve to have back. We're still feeling the effects of it half a decade later. And it's like, all right, guys, it's time to, let's keep going now. Let's move on from this, essentially. So I totally get it.
We can move on from the segment as well.
I don't mind.
Home and home matchups that you want to see. This segment, in my mind, I mean, thank you, Tony Petitti, thank you, Greg Sankey. Like all of the home and homes I want to see, we finna get all of them.
All of them.
You want to see USC Georgia? Guess what? In the next 10 years, I imagine you're gonna get it. Oregon Florida, you're gonna get that one. Ohio State Texas, it's coming. Alabama Michigan, we're gonna get them all. The only one I want to see, honestly, in this segment that we're not going to get, I want to see Boise State and Eastern Washington play. And
the red and blue
turfs, home and home. Loser of the matchup has to paint their field purple.
Yeah, little red and blue.
Yeah, little Roy G. Biv action going on for you right there.
There you go.
How about them?
I didn't even think about this when I created this segment of what are some hypothetical matchups you would love to see? And I don't know if it's a guaranteed thing that when we do evidently go to this super conference of college football where it's essentially the Big Ten, the SEC, and everyone else is kind of just do your own thing. You're not going to get near our tournament. I wonder how much they're going to have this intermingling in regular season games.
Between the Big Ten and the SEC?
Yeah.
Oh, one big one, or one a year. You're going to cross over once a year.
You think so?
I think so.
Even if
that's what they're opening up. You're going to play 9 conference games, and you're going to have to play 1 crossover game with the Big Ten and the SEC for 2 non-conferences.
Basically, how they do the SEC versus Big 12 matchup in the middle of the basketball season.
And you're going to sell it for TV rights. It's an additional TV package that they're going to get.
And then you get one cupcake game?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because when that comes in, they're going to have 4 automatic bids for each conference. That's happening in 2026. They didn't force their hand in 2025 in these recent meetings.
Right.
They have it on paper that in 2026 we get to basically do what we want. And they've all stated we want 4 automatic bids for the Big Ten, and we want 4 automatic bids for the SEC. We want 2 for the ACC, 2 for the Big 12, and what's that? That's 12. And then give 2, 1 for the Group of 5, and 1 at-large bid. If Notre Dame's the top 14, automatically theirs. That's coming.
Yeah. I just wonder if conferences are going to be that willing to do so, where you have 10 games on your schedule a year where it's like that's a grinder of a game.
They're going to offer you an additional $12 million on your TV package. You're going to do it.
Probably.
We're in a rev share model. Every dollar counts.
We'll see when we get there. Yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's interesting to think about how, especially since the SEC's been so hesitant to go to 9 games, because it's kind of like, why we make our regular season harder?
Especially after what they did with strength of schedule. What you giggling at?
We already got a buzzer beater in March Madness.
Hell yeah.
He's so happy.
March Madness started playing games?
It's his first 4. Alabama State, buzzer beater layup to send themselves into the tournament.
Hell yeah.
That's what
shout out Alabama
March,
State.
Baby.
Well, Isaiah Crowell.
Oh.
Was he Alabama State or Alabama A&M?
No, he's Alabama State. He was yellow and black.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. ASU. The real ASU.
Well, I do want to read off my candidates for this list. I know that we got this one in the playoffs, but Georgia versus Ohio State, that needs to be a home and home in my opinion. We're supposed to get it, then it got canceled. So I'd like to see that one put back on the schedules. Alabama versus Oregon, purely because the Dan Lanning relationship, and then also like a Kalen DeBoer playing an Oregon team that he's kind of had some familiarity with. Those 2 teams doing a home and home, I think would be fun. The third best Big Ten team team versus the 6th best SEC team. So every single year that we can just end this stupid debate of, oh, well, the 3rd best Big Ten team wouldn't even beat Missouri this year. Like, so we could just settle it every single year and everybody can shut up about it. That's a stipulation I would have. And then my final one, I don't think you'd get this one. Notre Dame versus Texas.
You're already getting it. They play in a couple years. They scheduled a non-conference game.
I never know if these things are still
Brooks Reed, so you don't have
happening.
Don't they play this year?
No, they just announced it this year.
No, you're right.
They're playing
do.
in 2026 and 2027.
Well, I hope they keep it.
Shout out to the Longhorns. Out here, we'll play anybody. We just won't show our spring game because we're worried about you taking our players.
Hell, no one's doing that anymore.
I feel like I just threw water on that segment, and I apologize.
No, it's fine.
But I fully believe we're going to get these crossovers between the Big Ten and the SEC. They've already talked about it. Look, when Ross Dellinger puts it in an article, Greg Sankey gave it to the damn dude. I guarantee it. All right, so what Greg Sankey says goes in college football. Them's the rules. Big face. What happened?
Tennessee's about to lose to East Tennessee State.
In baseball?
In baseball.
They're going to drop the first game of the year to East Tennessee State.
Hey, they're 4th in the league for home runs.
Riot.
Bottom of the 10th, 2 outs, are down 1 run.
Riot at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Can't believe I know that. Should we move on to our local hour?
I would love to.
Do it.
We got a loaded local hour, man. I got presser notes. We got
our first
quotes.
This is our first hot off the presser of the season, is it?
Yeah,
not?
man. I don't even know. We might delay that one for the big news of the day.
Oh,
We'll see.
big news.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grab some tape. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back in to the Film Guy Network for another loaded hour here. It is our local hour. Some say it's our best hour. Yeah. You know, we really get cooking. We get warmed up, get the larynx going. Here we go. We got a load of local hour. Kirby Presser notes, Carson Beck GM quote that we wrote about today and received today over on si.com/college/Georgia. I went back and looked at the 2012 SEC Championship game. I've got 10 notes.
Ooh, that is a sore subject amongst this fan base, dude.
I've got 10 bullet points that I want to bring to you. I also want to ask, if I did a film study on that, would you actually watch it? You know? If you're a glutton for punishment.
As a Georgia fan, I would probably say, I don't know. I would watch like the first half and then go, I'm getting sad.
What about a Film Guy Network observer? Would you watch it if you were one of those? We'll find out. We'll find out, especially after I give those 10 bullet points, just how angry it makes you. NFL rookie grades, might get into that. How about a sack stat tonight?
A wild
sack stat coming hot for you guys. Might play the number wheel. Got nostalgic tape as well. But let's not waste any moments. Let's talk about Kirby's press conference today. Any guesses on who got the first question?
You.
And I texted you guys. Didn't have anything for him.
Yeah.
Right? You know why? I just force-fed a question out.
Why?
Because apparently ain't nobody interested in asking Kirby Smart a question. So much so that I think you can even notice on the press conference today, he basically said, like, hey, if y'all don't have questions for me, I got shit to do. I'll get out of here. So I hit him with the, hey, coach, how practice been? Question right off the rip. Long way from good, a work in progress. We have the least number of players that have gone through at least 3 spring practices since I've been here. We just have a very young and inexperienced group, and we really can't practice like we normally do because guys are tired. They can't go. They're really, really tired. We got to simplify some to get guys to go play. A lot of young players. I need the year 2 and year 3 guys to lead the year 1 guys because I feel like half of the roster is in their first season at Georgia. I am optimistic. We do have good kids that work hard. But he said he did like a stand up if you've been through at least 3 spring practices. Like 13% of the room. Stand up if this is your 4th spring practice. Nobody left.
Oscar.
I don't think He said like 1 or 2 guys. Nobody. The room's thin with regards to experience. But I do like I'm optimistic. We do have good kids that work hard. You can tell sometimes when he comes in after practice and he's like, in case one of my players is watching this, I'm going to let everybody know that I am not very happy. By the way, I got limp details at the end of this.
Really?
I got limp deets.
At the end of the show or when we go off?
This is like the biggest local hour ever.
Presser notes. I think I've identified the issue.
So this is speculation. This isn't like you've got confirmation.
All speculation.
Okay.
Speculative reporting on Kirby Smart's lingering injury. Freshman wide receivers, they got to get in shape. Constantly tired
Georgia
in practice.
shape.
Hands on hips. Okay. Thinks there's a bit of anxiety as well. Because, the rep count's kind of thin for the young guys. And he said, but even in their, let's say they get 20 reps at practice, even in the 20, by the end of it, they're out here sucking wind. They are trying. There's no lack of effort, though. So that's good. Doesn't sound like anybody needs a correction. You know what I mean? Asking about how to get guys to step up. All right. How do you coach that to get guys to be better leaders? I said we have to coach it. That's what they pay us to do. We have a lot of guys that are offended when we coach them. Yeah. Got a lot of guys that have to have guys that love to be coached. Some of our guys are offended by it. It's almost if they haven't been coached hard before. But they better get used to it because that's the standard around here.
Oh, boy.
You go and get coached hard. I think he actually doubled down later and said if they don't like it, they gonna get up out of here. Yeah, so and I'll go ahead and hit with the follow-up. The follow-up is basically like, Coach, do you think it's a money thing? Do you think this is an NIL thing? Is this something new? And he said, no, we've always had guys that come in here that are kind of like new to this, like new to the idea that we're going to coach you this hard.
It's a cultural thing.
But yeah.
It's a cultural thing where you've basically gone assuming the majority of your life being the best player on your team, being the most athletic player likely in your county. Your high school football coaches don't really have as much to offer. You get to University of Georgia where there's 95 other people just like you, and guess what? The head coach doesn't think you're shit.
Yeah.
So he's not going to treat you like it. So yeah, it makes sense that a lot of these kids are getting offended. They're not used to it.
I feel this sometimes when I talk to young people. I'm like, damn, he's kind of harsh, so I get it. Competition and safety. Coach been watching the channel.
You think so?
Coach been watching the channel. Lots of guys. There's nobody really standing out. Some we talked about yesterday when we gave you spring observations and intel. Also, I got an eye for it. KJ continues to bulk up and get bigger.
Oh
yeah! Walk by the scooter parkers or the scooter parking lot outside the building, and just one quick little. Yep, he bigger, And I came to the show, told you a little thick in the hips, and y'all looked at me like, "Why you looking at dudes?" Because that's my job. My job is to look at dudes. So yeah, KJ has gotten bigger and continues to develop and take care of, so he can take care of himself, remain on the field. Said Jacory's working in there, and then kind of in order, Zion, Jaden, Maddox, Todd Robinson, Joe Nell's gotten some reps back there at safety as well. It's a lot of people, but there's no solid foundation that Dan and Malachi provided. It's a wide open group. Too early for anyone to be out in the lead.
And they're obviously going to try to use this to their advantage because last year, obviously, you had 2 veterans in the back end, Dan Jackson, Malachi Starks. It was very clear that they were going to get the majority of one's reps. It was very clear that they were going to probably be your starters come week 1, barring a disastrous injury. You don't have that right now, so the rep share is going to be much more split up. Now, your development's going to be a little bit slower for each player, but you're going to have more players move along at a bigger pace because of it.
I actually have the actual quote about coaches or guys being offended by being coached, and if it was NIL based. And he said, if it's about NIL, then nobody will be successful. Like nobody in college football is going to be successful. Kids that want to be coached don't care about how much money they make. You either want to be coached or you don't. I think it's more prevalent than it's been, but it's not new. I think they will get there. If they won't, then somebody will be in their spot. That was the exact quote. So, didn't obviously mention who ain't out here wanting to be coached, but
did he say if this is a new problem that they've had?
No, that's what I'm saying. He said I think it's more prevalent than it's been, but it's not new.
Yeah.
But he knows this, and he's self-aware. He knows how much harder he is on guys and how much harder he coaches than other places. It's well documented and well known. This guy's a lunatic. He gonna get on your ass no matter who you are. And it's the way it is at that place.
Make you think he hates you.
Yeah, make you think he hates you. To be coached is to be loved. Maybe that's something he needs to put on his board, you know? And I'm sure he tells them. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe don't even tell them that. You know? Like, hey, like a lot of the times if you get a player that's down in the dumps because you've been riding him a little too hard, you at least give him, hey, I'm doing this because I love you. I don't know if that's ever said in that building.
I'd imagine it is once or twice.
I mean, the players leave knowing that he loves them. And it's for the betterment of them.
There's been enough moments where coming off the field, Kirby's put his arm around someone where you're like, okay.
And you can't be this successful if there's not some personal relationships developed by a coach to player.
And maybe it's not him saying, like, I'm only doing this because I love you, but maybe it's more so phrased as, I'm only doing this because I know what you're capable of, or we see the potential that's in you, or we know that there's more in you, things like that.
I'm sure he does all of that. On G-Day says, I want to have G-Day, but again, we went through practice 4, and I still feel really good about it. We've been very lucky on the injury front. If we lose any more guys at a certain position, it'll be more of a controlled practice. I know exactly what position he's talking about. He's talking about defensive end and Jack. Yeah. Like, they don't have enough bodies to even be out here thinking about scrimmage. And I don't think they can get it too deep right now at defensive end.
This was a situation Kentucky ran into last year where they had so many injuries on the defensive line where they're like, no spring game.
I mean, with Joseph Jonah out, Gabe Harris out, the only guy who's been in the system that's still playing defensive end right now is Justin Green.
Shut out.
You know what I mean? And then you're talking about trying to get 2 full teams to scrimmage. Yeah, if you take another injury there, you might be out there controlled practicing, but I don't think it's going to be nothing happens that day. If you get a ticket to G-Day, it just might not be a scrimmage. It's going to be a practice and an open availability for you to go see the team. So it's still worth going. Honestly, for an observer like me, I would rather watch you practice than watch you scrimmage. You're going to show me what you want to show me during a scrimmage.
Yeah.
But during a practice, I get to make my own observations. Also went on to say, as far as the television getting taken off of television, he said they wanted to control the timing of it more and not have to worry about the constraints of a TV window. He said, I have to go recruit. It's a big day for us. We got official visits. I don't want to be worrying about being time constrained. You got an hour or whatever on television. I don't want to have to be worried about none of that. I want to be able to set it on my own time and my own schedule and get to do what I want, basically.
I like that, actually. And that's much more of a legit reason than some of the other coaches we've heard, where basically it's, reasons where it's like, all right, you're obviously giving us coach speak here. Be honest with it. Like, G-Day, I don't have to follow the constraints of a TV schedule now. I don't have to do mid-show interview, mid-game interviews. I can basically run this however I want. I can end it whenever I want. I can start it whenever I want. I can have it go as long as I want because it's now mine. There's nothing else to attain to.
And this is why I think that there's always going to be overreactions to decisions like this. But I think one thing that we've always learned, when there is something like this, there's usually something that fans or even the media haven't even thought of that went into this decision. Like, this kind of made me think about the Georgia-Florida game, like it being on a neutral site. That's an entire weekend that Georgia loses of being able to recruit kids or have kids on campus. And him mentioning recruiting in this, of like how big of a day this is for us, and because of TV constraints, that's kind of taken away from me. It just kind of opens up, like, there are so many things that go into these decisions. It's not always just as simple as, well, let's screw the fans over from being able to watch us and anybody else from being able to watch us and just cancel it and for our own benefit. Like, there's so many other things that play into this.
The longer I've been around, not been around, but watched Kirby Smart up close and kind of covered him, the more I realize every single decision he makes involves, what does it do? How can I get more recruiting time from it?
Yeah.
It's why he talked about the Florida game being changed a couple years ago. It's why he's doing this, obviously. Everything of his revolves around, how can I get more time to recruit?
Or it's just the best excuse we've heard from a coach yet.
Or that, perhaps.
Which it might be.
But given the amount that he does recruit and given the performance of his class, he probably isn't lying.
I mean, and he's not. I don't think he's allowed to walk to the microphone like, or maybe he just doesn't want to walk to the microphone like Matt Rule and just be like, I ain't putting it on TV because I think people are going to steal people from my roster. And I'm willing to say that out loud. Maybe Kirby doesn't put voice to that. But if I had the option to not have it on TV, we not going to have it on TV. Mm-hmm. So there's that. was asked about KJ specifically. Said he seems like a vet to me now because there's just very little experience out there. He doesn't overstep his bounds, though. Doesn't try to step on older guys or approach older guys as if he's better than them. He didn't say that specifically, but paraphrasing here. Says he pulls everyone. Bless you. Goes in. Thank you. Says he pulls everyone for Georgia. I loved that.
What does that mean exactly?
Like everything he's doing, he's just trying to pull you in the right direction in the favor of the program.
Oh, I thought you said forward Georgia.
No, for Georgia. Like everything I'm doing is for this program type of vibe there. Continues to develop his body. Bo Walker, obviously everybody's gotten the word that Bo Walker's out here working because there were multiple Bo Walker questions. There's not a guy out there as a freshman that's sustaining his reps. There's not a high school program in the country that practices like we do. Bo's done a nice job. He's very bright. He's had some really good runs, and he's very coachable, very teachable. And it's interesting to see Bo like immediately touch grass at Georgia and get to work because this is a guy who didn't play half of his high school season last year. You remember? His head coach at Cedar Grove left. He tried to go to Stockbridge with one of his position coaches. GHSA was like, well, we're not allowing that to happen. But the 4-star tackle that went from Buford to Milton and then plays Buford week 1, we'll let that one slide. But all these other ones, no, you're going to have to wait 5 weeks and then go up to Rabun Gap because they don't play in GHSA. Don't get me started. But anyways, very, very impressive to play half a high school season, show up in the SEC, springtime, get to rolling. Like that's really, really impressive. Was asked about Oscar and Lawson and Jordan Hall. There's one media member. He does a great job of knowing that I'm only going to get one question or 2 questions because of the nature of the business. I'm going to ask him about 3 players so I can write about all 3 players. And a very interesting strategy that's used over and over again by this individual. And he's made a killing out of it. It's let's see here. They are 2 leaders in the program. Talking about Lawson and Oscar, they carry the torch for the program. Lucky to have 2 guys that have played as much as they have. As to Jordan Hall, he said, I wouldn't say he's completely back. I think he's still getting used to the gauntlet of practice, but he looks much better and much more healthy. He had the screws taken out of his knee, I guess, or the shin that he was having problems with. So he's practiced much better this spring than he has the last year. So good news on Jordan Hall. No longer has pins in his leg.
Gonna need him.
Go through
gotta have a big spring for him.
That's also what he said. Gotta have that guy and have him have a big year. Was asked, again, the strategy here. Bo Hughley, Ja Jackson, and Juan Gaston. Let's see what he spit out about this one. It's brand new. There's a lot of snaps that have left the building. I look at it as 4 starters leaving last year that will be drafted this year. But Micah Morris, Drew Bobo, Ernest Green, and Monroe Freeling have all played and all started games. Behind that is a new cast of characters, and they got to grow up and play. My notes literally say proceeds to rattle off literally every young name on the roster. Juan has continued his journey to lose weight. He's really fighting that. He's had good 2 weeks with his numbers and getting his body weight down, and I'm proud of him for that. But he literally, every offensive lineman that's on the roster, not named Jamal Merriweather, got a shout out in that period of time right there. So he did the thing. It's the blowback to asking that type of question. When you ask 3, you might get 12, and boom, there goes your article. You ain't writing shit on that one.
Kirby knows what he's doing.
You'd think. He's a little savvy vet up there on the microphone.
Yeah, he is.
Said we are fortunate that we have 3 deep in practice. Most of my peers don't have that, but it's not quality depth. It's not the quality depth we're used to here.
How you feel being the 3 of practice here? Kirby say like, damn.
He's done it 2 times in a row with the offensive linemen. He's like, we got a lot of bodies, but ain't nobody good. We got to get people to play better. So there's that. Brooks, any idea who they're rotating in at center? You have 3 opportunities. I'm only answering this because it's on topic, and I saw it. My ADD brain went to it. Drew Bobo, Malachi Tolliver, Cortez Smith. Those are your 3, I would imagine. Probably getting some reps from, that's it. I don't think any of those other guys cross-trained last year with QCs when they came out for pregame. It was always Malachi Tolliver, Drew Bobo, and Tate Ratledge, right? And Xavier Truss.
Yep.
Those were the guys, and those last 2 are gone. Was asked about Ron Corson being retired. Said they thought they did a really good job last year of having a transition period. The 2 people that replaced the one job for Ron were kind of heavily involved last year.
So this was something that had been coming down the pipe.
I was made aware mid September last year.
Right.
It's just not my story. I'm not ever going to be the guy 3 months in advance when I get a piece of news to be out here blowing the spot up on other people.
Especially when it's a retirement.
Exactly. When it's a story like that, I don't even care to be first on injury news. It's just not my bag.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you want other information, come here. We'll give you all this stuff, all the recruiting stuff, all the practice intel, all that good stuff. We'll give it to you. But it's not my bag. He said he still talks to Ron every single morning. He comes in and gets his workout in. Says, I don't feel like he's gone. But he did a great job in the transition period. Was asked about the corners. It's good and it's bad. It's flashes. I don't see a fire. I just want to see fire and competition out of everybody. There's been days we have flashes. Competitive toughness is hard to find these days. It's not easy being here, playing that position. They're all out there competing, and I'm proud of them all. Dalen is doing more than probably he even realizes. He's doing more every day. I guess Dalen's out there doing basically everything but contact. So he's out there running around, being a vocal leader, doing everything he needs to do. So.
And a guy like Dalen at this point in his career, he doesn't need it. Yeah,
there's a lot of that. Like, Gabe Harris don't need to practice no more, but he needs to play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He needs playing time. Kirby's still limping.
Oh, here we go.
Let's hear it.
This is the most important part.
All right, here's the deal. I'm saying right foot and something heel or like when I've stepped down, like ligament base, like plantar fasciitis maybe with the foot. And here's why I say this. The first 3 or 4 steps are very favored. And then as he gets to walking again, seems like it loosens up. So I think we got something in the foot. Maybe a plantar fascia, maybe something like that, you know? Maybe an arch problem. Something going on there. Something that when I stop moving and move again causes problems. But if I'm out here and it's hot, not a problem.
Interesting theory.
Should we now? This would be a waste of an interview question, especially at a media availability. But one day, I just want to be like, Coach, what's going on?
So in a couple weeks, I'm sure I'll be on another visit. When you guys have an opportunity to go in there, just ask him. Never asked you a question before, Coach.
Who the hell are you?
Why you limping? What's going on there, Coach?
Get the hell out of my meeting.
You've never been in here and you're asking me why am I limping? Okay.
Get a nice email from the SOD. Your credentials have been
Brooks, whoever you sent today,
not cut.
send the other one.
So they give us 7 players today. Normally they give us 3. They gave us 7 players today. I left on the last 4 because I had to get to the show and I was still late. So the new strategy, we're going to give you 7, but you're only going to get to ask like 3 or 4 questions for each player. Shortest player interviews I've ever seen at the University of Georgia. Not complaining. I don't think guys had that many questions readily available for everybody anyways. I don't have a ton of notes for you on it. Oscar Delp is going to get quoted though.
I already saw
it. 1 foot out the door. Was it grabby too, the headline?
It just said Oscar Delp.
Did it make him look like shit is what I'm asking.
It was just kind of like, whoa, that's...
yeah. The midway through the season part was where you're like...
Yeah, he...
what are you doing?
Look, he didn't help himself. And look, I'm not blaming media members. We're not going to run it. I know what happened. I know he obviously... He's being too truthful in a media availability, and that's why they tell these kids to not do it. Mm-hmm. Don't answer questions with the first thing that comes to your mind. Matter of fact, I'd rather you sound dumb than actually be honest with the guy. All right, because when you're honest with the guy, people are going to be out here running it like this. But he basically said, like, last year, I was doing too much reading of my own press clippings, seeing what other people said about me, and I had 1 foot out of the door. Meaning, like, I was already making the mental leap of this is my last year. I'm probably going to the NFL because everybody's telling me and my family that I'm going to the NFL. And he felt like he didn't maximize his opportunity as a leader, and it was a mistake. And then I asked him even before all that, what led to him saying I had 1 foot out the door was, what was your decision to come back? And he basically said, I left a lot on the field last year because I had the wrong mindset. And I live with Gunnar Stockton. I live with these people who are now going to get increased roles here. It is a family to me. I didn't want to leave my family. But I would imagine that part of the quote didn't get ran.
I mean, you have to think too of like...
Again, not his fault, not media members' fault. He said the shit. And I know I'm a pay per impression employee. I know if people don't come to my site, if I don't bring them in, I don't get paid. I understand how the business works. And when a kid says something like that, I know if I ran the sumbitch right now, it'd get tens of thousands of views and I'd get paid for it. I understand why I did it, and I'm not even blaming people for doing it. I just know I don't like it. It's
also one of the things, though. I understand something like this from someone who hasn't done a lot of media training. I understand something like this when you mince words every now and then.
Yeah, but it's been your third year in front of a microphone.
That's what I'm saying. You've been doing this for 3 years. You're one of the oldest people in this room now. You can't do that. Like, you got to do yourself fair. I don't think he said anything super damning to make you go, oh, damn, that's going to lower his quality of character in the eyes of a lot of people, especially in NFL GMs and scouts. But it's not a good read. You got to be careful.
So. I mean, the way I see it is, I would find it very hard to be in Oscar's position of, I'm following the greatest college football tight end ever. I find it would be very hard not to check out what people are saying about me after witnessing that for 3 years and kind of saying about what are people thinking about how I'm playing this year or whatnot. So I understand like the whole situation completely of can't say it, why it happened, but also I think it also is a good thing, and this is what people should take away from it of he's aware of that, obviously.
Why wouldn't you run it? You're about to run the next topic on a non-Georgia player. First of all, if we go back and remember, Carson Beck told the world he didn't watch football last year, you ain't going to find that article on our website. All right, I think there's a little bit difference between a player misspoke at a microphone and an NFL GM told me something about a player. We all agree?
Mm-hmm. Completely.
All right, that's that.
Ooh.
Oh, we got a super chill. I think Josh Armstrong's already on the board, isn't he?
Probably.
Ain't no way that guy ain't on the board.
We didn't start making a list of the people on the board.
A little double timer here. Is it that normal? Okay. Is that a normal pessimist presser during spring practice? But by the last week, we get the super proud of these guys like he did the defense last year. No, the roster is very thin in places and all, but it was very grim. I was in the room. I didn't think it was any different than a normal Tuesday press conference after a practice. He's never happy when he comes in there. First of all, didn't want to be there. He also walked into the press conference room and clearly had to go back out and clarify something with Leland. The SID. I mean, he walked right back out of the room and left us in there for like 5-6 more minutes. And then he walks in after we've been sitting there for 25 minutes. Hey, anybody got a question for Kirby Smart? And first 15 seconds, nobody raises their hand. So yeah, he was in one of those moods, man. He's always like that. I always feel like on a Tuesday. And I'd never expect a coach to come out there fourth practice and be like, whoo, man, we're ready to play Super Bowl tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like they're there to let the team know that they're not happy with
Get the boys a day off tomorrow, actually.
Yeah. I mean, it's scheduled, but we're going to give it off to them anyways because they earned it. You know?
Yeah.
It ain't going to be that.
And I also think we do a really good job at this, but I think fans need to remember that Kirby Smart is not necessarily a huge fan of the media.
Yeah.
Coming in there and answering their questions is probably on the lower tier of things he would like to do in that day. So his attitude is probably going to be according to that.
And good point here from Hunter Lacey. We just got done with releasing a bunch of here's what's been going on at practice type of intel, which, by the way, comes from, at least in my intel, I don't know how everybody else does their business, but I get intel from people in the building and then people who pay to watch practice. And it's two totally different vibes. The people who pay to watch practice, everything's great. Oh my God, they're going to win the national title. So-and-so's a freak. So-and-so's going to be the best player ever. So you're getting a lot of this, all right, from the intel from people at practice. And it's a byproduct of the way he keeps it so tight-lipped. You're going to get this, which means he has to come to the microphone and throw water on all of the hype. Speaking of water on all the hype, got a quote from a GM today. Just asked him, hey, what are your thought processes on Carson leaving Georgia to go to Miami? This was the feedback I got. Quote, Carson Beck, either by Kirby Smart letting him go or choosing to go, either way is a big red flag. It certainly hurts him with us. He didn't leave in order to win, play against better competition, or get better coaching. It's a bad look for him. That makes no sense and makes you wonder a lot about it. When I got this today, Kirby, I actually thought of what you said Thursday on our show about eventually there's going to come a time when people start to wonder the old cliche adage of, do you love football or do you love what football brings to you? And get questions about just your general care for the sport. And I think we have reached that. And look, this has already gotten, I mean, we got Miami people in the chat right now wanting to see this about us. So here's the deal. I've seen all of it, like all the responses of, I wouldn't want to play for Mike Bobo either. I've seen that from Miami fans. I've seen the stuff about he didn't have any receivers, which have you looked at the Miami depth chart this year? That's my kind of thing. I think it kind of hits, like you said, what you were talking about last week. How much do you actually love football, man? Another person I actually spoke to gave me the cliche quote: "Do you love football, or do you love the things that football brings to you?" Also, this is really new. This is really new for high-level football players that are supposed to be NFL caliber draft prospects. I got thrown a bunch of examples of guys who left programs that ended up being successes in the NFL. He doesn't fit into any of these categories. Bo Nix left Auburn for a championship caliber program, one that's elevated, right? He went from Auburn to Oregon and won 10, 11 games? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So Jaden Daniels, same thing, left Arizona to go to LSU. Baker Mayfield, same thing, left Texas Tech to go to Oklahoma. Cam Ward, same thing, all right, left Wazoo to go to Miami. Riley Leonard, same thing. Left a lesser-than program in Duke to go play at Notre Dame. Dylan Gabriel was asked to leave Oklahoma. That wasn't a choice. He was asked to leave Oklahoma. He left UCF to go play at Oklahoma, a better program. Kyle McCord was asked to leave Ohio State. Michael Penix followed his offensive coordinator. Caleb Williams followed his head football coach. This is very new. This is a football player who left Georgia for one of two reasons. He either didn't want to be there anymore, or they didn't want him there anymore, both of which would raise a red flag if I were drafting a player in the first round or thinking about drafting him in the first round.
Absolutely. And I would love to create an alternate reality to just see how things go, where if you go back to the SEC championship and you take away that last play of the first half, where he does not have the UCL injury, he is not injured, he is not incapable of throwing a football until June or July, how different this entire situation is. And we'll never know.
He's the 28th overall selection.
Right, yeah. And we'll never know for sure, and there'll always be speculation, but I wonder how much that injury played into Georgia saying, we don't really want you back, right? Allegedly, supposedly.
Look, that's the other thing about this. I can't figure out both parties tell you that they want it out. You know what I mean? You talk to people inside the Georgia building, and it's like, man, we're running its course, we're good. And then you talk to some people in the Georgia building, depending on who you talk to, whether it's coaches or people who are on the player personnel side. The player personnel side just saw a 6'5", 225-pounder walk out the door. You know what I mean? They can really spin it. They're like, wait, we would take that guy. And then you talk to some people that are actually on the field every day, and they're like, it had kind of run its course. You talk to people in Carson's camp, and it's like, we didn't even call them. Once the injury happened, we were done. We were out. We were either going to the NFL or going somewhere else, but we weren't going back there. So there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Either way, if I'm an NFL organization like the one I talked to today, I wouldn't red flag it. I'd be yellow flagging it. Yeah. That's something I got to dig in on. The red flag makes everybody be like, he's off the board. The wording to me, he was off the board.
Well, there's a lot of other external things that's been going on that we've talked about enough that raise flags for you. I do think and the optics of it are not good, where it's a Heisman potential finalist coming into the season, first round pick, has a down year, and next thing you know, he's entering the draft. No, he's not. He's transferring to a school that is, for all accounts, much worse than the school he was at. It's not a great look. I understand, and believe me, the NFL GMs are right in all these red flags being raised. And there were things throughout the year that are kind of, again, external factors that make you go, what's going on here? But I think it's all of that combined with just unfortunate circumstances. Injuring your throwing arm on one of the last plays of the season for you it's unfortunate. And I think it really made this situation for him a lot worse.
Well, I think it's unfortunate because even if Carson goes and throws for 4,000 yards this year and 28 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, that's certainly going to help his draft stock. And Carson is going to be back into the first-round projection range, but it's not going to stop these questions from being asked of, we still have questions about the whole situation that happened after Georgia and anything else that happened during his career. Like, yes, talented football player, a guy that we think might be worth using a first-round pick, but there's still some questions, and a 4,000-yard season doesn't disperse these questions that they have.
I'll tell you this much. If he goes down there and balls, I'd be more impressed with that than anything that these transfer quarterbacks. This is the hardest one to be successful at. They lost a ton at the receiver position, lost a starting tight end, lost Restrepo, obviously. They're dependent on Nye Carr to be a dude We'll see. I forget young man's name. The other wide receiver that they got coming back that's really, really good. They have a couple of pieces, but it's not like they got 5 or 6 guaranteed dudes at the wide receiver position. I think in their 2 deep, 2 true freshmen got to play for them. Is this not correct?
Josiah Trader.
Josiah Trader is the really, really good one. But aren't there like 2 freshmen that they need to play immediately?
Malachi Toney is one that I see, and then there's 2 more on the 2 deep.
Okay, so we're right into the 2 deep of true freshmen, and one of our starters is already penciled in Nikar. Is that correct?
He's actually not. He's the number 2X behind Trader, but the freshman is put in on the starting
as a starter.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, brand new weapons that he don't get to throw with until July. If he goes out there and balls, I might draft the dude off that alone, because if you can make it successful with brand new starting pieces that you just got to start throwing with in July. Damn impressive. So we'll see.
Is this the one situation, though, where the quarterback leaves and he can even have success and Georgia fans won't be mad at it?
Oh, no. You watch somebody walk out the door, you're going to be mad.
Well, I'm talking about
from how ugly the ex-girlfriend is.
I'm talking about from the aspect of fans being like, Kirby made the wrong decision.
You already know where that conversation would be headed. You already know where that one would be going. I'm not even going to say it because everybody knows exactly what's happening in that situation.
It's not one of these, all these other transfers, like I mentioned, all these other success stories. There was an obvious, it makes sense for your career to go that way. With this one, it will cause questions. It already has. So I don't think that's debatable. I don't think I was hot, shocky running that. I felt like the quote was a little strong, but if an NFL GM tells me something, I'm gonna run it. All right, I went back and watched the 2012 SEC championship game, boys.
Oh boy,
I've got 10 observations. Do you really want them?
We might as well hear them, man. It's 13 years ago.
First and foremost,
a lot of good things have happened for us since then. So.
Offense has changed tremendously from an analytics standpoint. I can't tell you how many times Georgia was in a 1st and 20 and ran the football, or a 2nd and 10 and ran the football. Analytics alone's not going to allow you. Alabama doing it too. Analytics alone is not going to allow you to run the ball in 2nd and 10. They're just not, unless you're in the middle of the field and we have 4 downs. Okay, so it's just mathematically nowadays it's forbidden. Okay, run, pass, forbidden. In fact, nowadays in the NFL especially, more teams are passing on 1st down than they are running on 1st down because of the analytical models that these coaches and play callers now have available to themselves. So it's just not going to let you live in 3rd and 7, which is what both of these teams did the entire time I'm watching them. It's either you got gashed on one of the 1st and 2nd down runs from Eddie Lacy or Todd Gurley, or your offense is in 3rd and 9, and everyone in the building knows you pass, and you got Aaron Murray and A.J. McCarron getting it done. Aaron is in the observations, far more of a chooch haver than I remember. And part of that's because I was 17 years old. I still outthrow his ass any day today.
You might get him today.
I got proof.
You might get him today.
I got proof I'm not just talking shit. I told Aaron to his face via text message. Better arm than I remember. But I was 17, not really paying attention.
What was his response to that?
Well, we're going to get to it, but we talked about the clock management. We talked about some of this stuff, and I'll betray his confidences over the airways here in a second. I was flabbergasted watching Georgia have absolutely no answer for the lack of run fits. I think they rushed for like 370 yards in that football game. Alabama did, it felt like. But Georgia's defensive line in particular had no idea how to hold the line of scrimmage at the line of scrimmage. I can't tell you how many times I looked up and Alabama offensive guards were 4 yards down the field attached to Alec Ogletree and Rennie Kern. Yeah. Just way too far downfield. Or not Rennie Kern, whoever's wearing 35 that wasn't Rennie. Looked like him. But anyways, Alec Ogletree and the linebackers getting absolutely just 4 or 5 yards downfield. Couldn't get off of them big-ass offensive linemen from Alabama. That's the other thing you'll notice. Offensive linemen back in the day, way heavier and way too unathletic.
Screen game wasn't a factor, dude. Just get out there and move something.
No, screen game was a factor. Traditional running back screens were actually far more used. Do you know why?
I'm talking like bubbles where you have to get to the edges.
Well, I'll get to that here in a second, but guys were cutting a whole hell of a lot more in the box on those halfback screens back in the day. Number 5, can't remember his name for Georgia. You had it this morning. Who's number 5?
Oh, Damian Swan.
Damian Swan got picked on bad. In
that was
that's
his career. Bad.
We can give you the Damian Swan experience where it was some days this is the worst corner in the SEC. What is going on here? And then others like, my God, did you see that play? No one other than Damian Swan could do that. He had a one-handed interception in 2012 against Tennessee. The ball got tipped like 5 times. He jumps and snags it like that, and it's like no one else can do that other than Damian Swan. But he was a victim to the picking every now and then.
Yeah, he got picked on big time. I was stunned to see the simplicities in both offenses. Georgia was very much so run, pass. Alabama was very much so run, pass. And Alabama had this weird tendency as if they invented no huddle after an explosive. Nowadays, teams do it all the time. If we get a big explosive, get on the ball, run a simplistic play. Alabama, every single time they had a play of more than 20 yards, they immediately got on the ball and immediately threw a smoke screen to Amari Cooper. Immediately. Every single time. And it almost took a good 3 quarters for Georgia to realize it. Yeah. There was, not on the notes, you watched it happen to me today. There was a damn primo example of what it was like to watch Mark Richt football. Okay? Mark Richt, Georgia football, in my mind, is this right here. 3rd and 8, quarterback rolling right. Ain't an option on the planet for the dude to complete the football to. He throws it 19 yards out of bounds, but here we are. Linebacker wants to get his lick and just blows the quarterback to smithereens. Automatic, roughing the passer, 1st down. Let's go ahead and give him a free possession. Even our best player, Alec Ogletree, doing it. Was there a single, hey, buddy, get your ass off the field so I can chew it right quick? No. Just let them play, boys. Get the next one. Get the next
Set the tone.
Finish the drill. Now, luckily for Georgia, A.J. McCarron threw a pick thinking Amari Cooper wasn't about to stack a corner 2 plays later. So there's that. I'm going to be honest, probably on Amari because you didn't stack the corner. But it's Amari Cooper. Put the shit on the pylon. You know what I mean? Let's not try to back shoulder fade Amari Cooper. Let's put it on the pylon.
I agree.
But anyways, back to the notes. I was absolutely stunned to watch Nick Saban have a clock management blunder. Buddy, horrible.
I forgot about this.
Right before the half, they're in 2 minute. Ball gets completed inbounds for a 1st down. They don't blow it up. They got 3 timeouts left. They don't blow it up. They get to the line of scrimmage, and they're doing check with me at the line of scrimmage with the clock running. Gets under a minute, under 45 seconds. We finally snap the ball.
Oh, God.
They got 14 seconds left on the clock. They have to call a timeout. They still got 1 on the board. They settle for a 28-yard field goal. And they go into half with a timeout.
Down.
Nick Saban, of all people.
I remember.
Not even close to the worst clock management moment in that football game, though.
These notes are reminding me of this game, and I hate it. But I remember vividly thinking after that moment, like,
we got him.
We got him.
Nick Saban's on the sideline, pissing down his legs.
He's shaking in his boots right now.
Nick Saban never messes up clock management. We're fine.
Nope.
We were not fine.
Nope. No, you were not. The clock management by Georgia at the end is historically awful. Everyone knows it. I do not care what anybody tells you. That's Mark Richt's fault. That is Mark Richt's fault. Because I watched it today. The damn quarterback. The quarterback, as soon as Arthur Lynch gets tackled, he's looking at the sideline. Clock. Nope. Hey, here's a novel idea. The time to get greedy is not when the clock is running under 30 seconds. Just an idea there. We probably should clock that thing, take a couple shots at the end zone. Also, damn sure not the coordinator's fault.
No.
Because the coordinator's getting told to call a damn play. What's he going to do? Argue with the coach while the clock's running? No. It's the damn coach's job.
Now, the alleged story of it, and I don't remember if it was Murray who said this.
I'll tell you what Murray told me.
If I remember correctly, Murray was throwing the ball out of bounds. It got tipped.
I got it right here. I said, what was the answer as to why y'all didn't clock it? He said, thought we could steal a quick play and wouldn't be that much time off. Problem was, there ended up being confusion on our end. Todd was supposed to cut Mosley, the defensive end. Instead, he had a free hand to jump up and tip the football. He's trying to get the ball to Malcolm Mitchell, and the ball gets tipped up.
And Chris Conley catches it.
Yeah. So the real problem here is you think you're about to surprise them and catch them off guard, and your team's off guard. If you go watch that, and we will watch it, he's flipping.
No, don't watch.
He's flipping
I
the
don't wanna
back.
watch it.
He's trying to get the back on the right side. Look, not to be like 15 years past, like secondhand or second guessing, but when you're a quarterback in that situation and you got guys not knowing what to do, immediately take charge and clock the football. That would be what I would think. But it's going a million miles an hour. You got to take charge as a head coach. You got to know this is not the time to get greedy. Clock the football. What else did I have for you guys? The criminal clock management that nobody talks about in that football game. There's a 3rd and 5. Georgia's up 3. It's 4 minutes left in the football game. Clock's running. Okay. Alabama has the ball in plus territory. It's 3rd and 5. Play's dead. Okay. Everyone's at the line of scrimmage. They're doing check with me's at Alabama. They're looking at the sideline. Mark Richt's obviously nervous about whatever play call they got called. Doesn't trust it. Runs out there, calls timeout. So you go into the last, they score on that drive. You end up conceding the 3rd and 5 anyways.
Amari Cooper.
Yep. So they end up scoring on that drive. Now you're in a 2-minute drill with 2 timeouts. You fail on your 2-minute drill. You get sacked on play 1. Okay. You end up punting the football back to him. You burn 2 timeouts, and you only get the ball back with, I think, 45 seconds left. But you burn 40 seconds by burning a timeout, hoping that you get the right play called. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
Critical mismanagement. You can't be torching timeouts in SEC championship games when the score's under a touchdown. Like, we can't do that. So, a lot of stuff like that just would never happen in my mind under Kirby Smart. I was surprised by Murray's chooch. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, a couple on tape where I'm like, whoa, I'm sorry, I was unfamiliar with your game. Probably doing a little too much partying in high school back then.
Would you like to turn the clock back even more?
It's funny you say that because we've picked a nostalgia film for you tonight.
We got Murray tape?
We found Aaron Murray high school footage.
Yeah, he's playing nobody out there in Jacksonville, Florida. I
can tell you right now.
Matter.
I can tell you right now.
It's juicy tape.
Doesn't matter. Now,
I got a couple more observations, but
the tape itself is not great because it was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But
it's dude tape. Okay, Murray. All right, Murray. About to go to Florida.
Oh, he's moving.
No, he was about to go to Florida.
Oh, I thought you were like
freshman Todd Gurley was something to behold, man.
Todd Gurley in general was something.
No. Freshman Todd Gurley. He's the best player on the field.
He was that way for every year.
Yeah, I know. It was insane. Some of the worst offensive line play you'll see. And I'm not going to call anybody out, but there were some pass sets in that where it almost looked like I was watching 1980s football.
And this was, I think, the staunch differences between the Mark Richt and Kirby Smart era. It's very obvious the line of scrimmage was not necessarily as prioritized. It was much more getting the skill guys, getting your running backs in there. And Georgia, both sides have had good offensive line and skill players, but it's very clear where the money is being spent.
I'm at Tampa, by the way. My bad. Wrong Florida. Oh, that's a. Hold on, go back. That's the type of thumbnail the Players Lounge be using when I'm on their show. Look at this idiot we had on our channel. That's how they do me every time I'm on there. Look at this handsome Aaron Murray and this fat-headed SOB that we had to come talk to get us views. Oh, just kidding. Here we go. On to the tape.
Wow, that was crazy.
That was crazy, wasn't it? It's not true either. Dot.
Some of it's hard to see just because it's old footage, but...
Nah, he stood on that one.
I mean, it's 8 minutes of this.
Now, that's what I remember Murray for. Watch this good, beautiful touch ball that I'm going to throw. Dot. Oh, yeah, Mike Bobo was salivating at the mouth.
Nothing but dots, man.
Now, I will say this. Watching that game back, and you don't go on to set records in the SEC without being a dude. All jokes aside, like I could outthrow him today, but I couldn't then. We all know this. His timing, his like knowledge of concepts and knowledge of coverage was obvious. Mm-hmm. And the other thing about it is like they made he broke records in the SEC, but they made him throw on obvious passing downs when the whole world knows we're throwing the football, unless they were play action off first down. Right? But other than that, man, they were asking him to like really, really play quarterback. Very linear thrower. Mm-hmm. You can see him leaning on his left side.
And I mean, this is a very old school back in the day.
For sure.
You can
2009.
he's holding the ball up to his ear on a lot of these. They don't teach you to do that anymore.
Now, okay, that was a little flick, wasn't it?
Jeez.
He kind of got a little material from the ear on that. Watch this. Okay. Now, no surprise, that ball came out way better than most of them. You know what I mean? We start using that rotational ground force, man. We're going to whip the shit up out.
What's impressed me most is the off-platform accuracy he had.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, he's got a great deep ball here, but...
Everything is in stride.
Ooh, take a shot, Sticks.
Like...
Everything's in stride.
Hell yeah.
Like...
Just dot after
It's
dot.
like we watched... Basically 90% of this. It's 8 minutes of just throwing dots.
Now, Murray, if we would have came out in college with the ankles spatted, wrist tape, with the swagoo to the tops, I might have been, look, man, we out here spatting in high school, man. We looking saucy.
I mean, rolling left.
I didn't see a single throw like that in college.
They probably told him not to do it.
Yeah. Bobo was probably
I mean, that's
don't
insane.
you dare. Unless that ball is to AJ Green, don't you dare.
Murray. I mean, come on.
Found that very fitting considering we...
That's good tape, Murray. That's good tape.
Would that be a my guy if you were coming in the 2026?
Oh, I'd have been all... Back in the day, you would have told me, I would have been Mr. Get the hell away from me dual threat guys. You know what I mean? I would have been, especially back in the day. Like when we're really running pro style offense, like when we're featuring tight ends, when we're playing under center, I would have been, just give me a manager. You know, like Nick Saban was.
Yeah.
You know, during that time
I just need a distributor.
Yeah, until offense got expanded, RPOs became a thing, quarterback's legs became a priority. Okay, we're out here giving up 40 to Johnny Manziel. We might want to go get us a version of that type vibes and type thought process. So yeah, it certainly changed how they go about the quarterback position. But that's good nostalgic tape right there. It's good nostalgic.
Fitting with our show topic in general. I feel like this entire episode has just been a nostalgia.
And we didn't know if we were going to be able to find it. We wanted to find somebody from the 2012 team. And I was like, check YouTube and see if we get some Aaron Murray high school highlights. And sure enough, they exist and they are fun.
Very fun. What's going on over there?
I'm just reading these text messages.
Oh, he's reading Murray text messages.
Yeah. I asked him to come to the studio and talk through that game with me, and said he's going to need a full day for that one, which means no. You know.
I mean, it's probably a very true.
I wouldn't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it now.
Dude, I left it out of the observations. But that hit on the pick right before the half.
God.
Oh, my God.
Bro.
The fact that he got up,
I was
man.
so mad.
He's a tough SOB, man.
Go watch the 2010 Auburn game.
Yeah.
You will have more respect for Aaron Murray.
I mean, I have a tremendous respect for the human that Aaron Murray is. I don't think I would have ever thought of him as a person with that type of an edge, though, knowing him as the man that he is now. Like, I know Aaron on a personal level as an adult. I didn't know him at all as a player. I was playing myself.
If you want to see the Aaron Murray edge, there's two games to see. 2010 Auburn, 2013 Auburn. The comeback he leads in 2013 is incredible.
That was before he tore his knee up, right?
Correct. I think he tore his knee up like 2 games later.
Yeah.
The comeback he has in that game is incredible. Obviously, we know what happens after that. But what he did from midway through the third quarter to the last 20 seconds of the fourth, incredible. 2010, the beatings he took from
Was one of those prayer Jordan Harry?
2013.
Yeah. I don't quite remember the second half of that one.
I don't want to.
Snuck in, though. Snuck in. Sitting 7 rows up on the 50 until the Auburn boosters that got too hammered at their pregame showed up by halftime. And then we watched it from the upper deck, but again, blur.
Hey, I wish it was for me. Don't worry. Just a lot of old wounds today. I don't like.
How about that sack stat?
Insane.
This is absurd to me.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how Purdue's on it, but yeah, give it to the audience.
So there, a stat was released today of the college that has the most sacks in the NFL since the year 2000, and Georgia leads this list, and I'll read their number off first. Georgia is number 1 with 1,004 sacks in the NFL since the year 2000. The next highest on that list is Ohio State with 715, nearly a 300 sack difference between first and second place. And I don't know how, and I think that everybody kind of took it this way of, this is incredible because you don't think of Georgia being this type of program of like, oh, they put all these edge rushers in, they put all of these defensive linemen that get to the quarterback a whole bunch. And
for the longest time, before I think it was Malik Herring, no, he went undrafted. I think Jalen Carter was the first defensive lineman to be drafted from Georgia since like 2012. They went through a drought where it was all outside linebackers.
It was Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis broke
since
it.
2011 or 12, yeah, one of those years. Yes.
Yeah, I remember writing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Symbols, you said since the year 2000, and for some reason my brain started singing year 3000 by the
Jonas Brothers. Banger.
My brain went Joe Bros.
Banger.
Wow.
Honestly valid. Half the audience probably doesn't know what
Can't
that
hate
is.
too much.
Year 3000.
But I mean, when you kind of start thinking about it,
Who did the heavy lifting for this stat?
Justin Houston dominated for a couple
Yeah.
of years. Like led the NFL in sacks.
Was the highest paid player in the league for a minute.
Yeah, he was.
Geno Atkins had some 10
Colts
sack
gave
plus
him that.
years.
The Chiefs.
Geno Atkins had some really solid years. He had 10 plus sacks a couple of times. Richard Seymour had a long NFL career and had a few sacks here and there.
Who in the hell was out here racking it up for the Boilermakers?
I have no idea.
It's got to be
They stick out like a sore thumb. Two things stick out like a sore thumb in that graphic. Holy hell, Georgia's got 300 more than anybody else. What is Purdue doing in here? Who out here racking it up for Purdue?
There's got to be some like just
Collective effort.
gritty linebacker that just played.
I went through the football reference. I couldn't find him.
Really?
I couldn't find. Oh, he's a freak. And I even went through top 10 Boilermaker list. It's all. This is the type of day I had. I couldn't find who the dude was. It must be a collective effort. Just a bunch of gritty dudes, lunch pails.
I think more than anything, this is a testament to Georgia puts in so many players into the NFL that it accumulated to this much. And Leonard Floyd has been in the league now for 10 years.
Leonard Floyd's definitely
he's racked up a good number of sacks. Roquan Smith plays a role in this. I mean, there's just so many former dogs in the NFL now that
I'm trying to. I wrote here it is. It's in this one. How many teams in the NFL do you think have more than two, or at least two, Georgia Bulldogs on the roster?
More than two?
More than two.
I can tell you right now, it's probably 20.
Yeah, I was going to say
Do you have
18.
the answer, or is it?
I had it in the article. I thought I was at, but I wasn't. There's a lot more than just like the Eagles get all this pub for being this team.
Packers
that
have a
drafts.
lot of them. Giants were
the
a lot.
Raiders.
All right, so here it is.
Raiders.
This is the number of teams with at least two former Georgia Bulldogs on it. The Falcons, the Ravens, the Bills, the Bengals, the Browns, the Packers. The Packers have 6.
Mm-hmm.
6 former Georgia Bulldogs, including Trey Hill. They picked Trey Hill up off of the free agency list.
Sick.
The Jags, the Chargers, the Rams, the Raiders have 5. The Dolphins, the Patriots, the Eagles obviously have 7. The Steelers, the Niners. All right. Now, something that kind of goes in hand seems to be success. There ain't a lot of bad football teams on that list. You know who doesn't have multiple Georgia Bulldogs? The Bears.
The Jets.
Okay?
Did you say
the
Raiders
Jets?
were successful?
The Giants.
He said.
Or the Giants did,
No, I'm saying-
but not anymore.
No, yeah, they did, but don't anymore. They only have one, Andrew Thomas. The Seattle Seahawks, the Commanders, the Bucks.
All I heard was Raiders and success in the same sentence, and I stopped.
And the Falcons. Look at us.
Yeah, it might be.
Look at us.
But I mean, there are like perennial, we're always good football programs and organizations that obviously notice what Georgia's been doing.
I mean,
That's all.
it's kind of comical at this point because like today I put out this article of reportedly there's maybe some fielding of offers for Trayvon Walker right now, which a lot of people are saying is BS, but someone reported it, so I reported it, did my due diligence, and immediately my comment section is just flooded with Philadelphia Eagle fans saying, go get him, Howie, go get us another one, like, oh, this guy's going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. Like, that's how comical this is and how obsessed now they are with this.
The alliance between Philadelphia and Athens, Georgia is one that I never
There's a whole
expected.
Philly Dogs Twitter page.
Buddy, on my Carson Beck tweet today, it got quote tweeted with several Philly fans that said, must have been Howie. Dude's talking to Howie. That guy left Georgia. He must suck. That type of deal.
What an alliance, though.
I know. It's worked out to his favor.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't think Lewis Seen's ever going to play for him, but we'll see.
No more C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
They're working him out a linebacker for a while.
I don't know.
I had somebody hop in the Menchies talk about Lewis Seen better prospect than Malachi Starks.
Coming in the draft.
Period. Yeah, and coming out. Don't even try. Don't even try to make that take reasonable. Lewis Seen was always a couldn't find the ball guy. He was 100% a dude that could have been playing as a starter if he were 240 pounds and could play linebacker, because all he can do is this. He goes downhill and he strikes. But when the ball's in the air, he can't find it. And if you can't find the ball, you're going to get murdered in the NFL.
Listen, I had people in my comment section saying Dan Jackson was a better athlete than Malachi Starks.
Yeah.
I don't think people kind of understand how truly athletic Malachi Starks is.
To me, athleticism, it has a little bit to do with how high you jump and how fast you run in a straight line, but it's movement patterns to me. How often are you compromised? How often do you step outside of your hip box? How often, when I ask you to turn your hips, are you tight? That is athleticism far more. Okay, a ball's in the air. Can we go find that and go make a play on it? That's athleticism.
I do think we're discrediting that run Lewis Seen went on in the postseason, and then followed it up with running like a sub 4.4 in the combine, and he jumped really well. He tested really well at the combine.
Discrediting. I think
hindsight is obviously Lewis Seen has not worked out in the NFL up to this point, and it's looking like he probably won't. I don't think it's Malachi Starks is miles ahead. I think they're also two different things. I think Lewis Seen was always going to be a point guy playing closer to the box than Malachi Starks ever will be. So it's if you want to get really into the weeds of it, it's an apples to oranges comparison.
I'm just saying, as someone who covered Lewis Seen when he got drafted in the first round, I went, what? When Malachi Starks goes 20th, I'm going to go, that's too low.
Valid.
You know what I mean?
That's valid. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's like a miles difference.
No.
I mean, go watch Lewis Seen in that national championship fill run alleys.
There is no doubt that Lewis Seen can run and make an open field tackle. There is no doubt. In fact, I'll say he might be the best alley runner to maybe ever play at Georgia in the Kirby Smart era. Close second, Dan Jackson. Close third,
Chris Smith.
Had a boy. That's CBK. That's 2 nights in a row. I'm so proud of you. I'm going to print the damn certificate.
I also
I'm going to put it on your freaking desk.
I watched the sport too, man.
I'm going to put it on your desk.
It's not just watching the show.
Are we good?
I think so.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys being here. We're doing noon show tomorrow.
I would think so.